United Mechanical at 502-339-1133.
All right. Welcome in, everybody. It's the Mike Rutherford Show here on 96.1 FM, 1450 AM, Big X Sports Radio, presented by United Mechanical. I'm your host, Roman Kelly, today, joined by co-host Matt Childress, as it's Martin Luther King Jr. Day, January 19th, Monday here. Not a lot of people at work. Some people at work, though. We're at work. We're excited to be at work here today. Matt Childress and I ready to get into a lot of different topics with you all today, as we have a college football national championship here this evening that we're going to be chatting about. A Louisville victory this past Saturday. We're going to be getting into some Michael Brown Jr. news and updates that I'm sure are going to be chatting about for some time. Then, of course, our wonderful Game Day Men's Health text line, in which you guys run the show. We're going to be addressing all of your all's topics, all of your all's thoughts, all of your all's concerns, and whatever else you may send in on our Game Day Men's Health text line at 502-414-1450. Game Day Men's Health is redefining men's wellness. No shortcuts, just results. Testosterone, peptides, weight loss, and sexual performance therapy. Visit GameDayMen'sHealth.com, defining a new era in men's health. Matt Childress, how are you today?
I'm good, Roman. How are you? Oh, Roman's stepping up to grab something real quick. I'm doing good. I see you're getting the paperwork together for all the readouts. I'm doing good.
I'm glad you're doing good.
We're chilling, you know. Sorry about that. Didn't mean to call back on you. I wasn't looking at the stream. That's my fault.
It's all good. I'm doing great here. Just had to get a couple of papers. I'm glad to have you in with us here today, as Mike is in Disney World. He's down there with his kids and the wife and the family doing the whole Disney Universal Studios thing. And I'm sure he's having a great time. But we're here in the Louisville College of Business, ready to chat with you guys from 2:34 here till 5:30. Hey, Cards fans, take your career to new heights with an MBA from the University of Louisville. The full-time MBA is an innovative 12-month program that accelerates your career trajectory from convenient in-person evening classes. Competitive 11-month paid internship opportunities provide you with valuable industry experience. It's the MBA that pays. Get started today and earn your degree in just 1 year. Visit business.louisville.edu/U of L MBA to learn more. All right, Matt, there's a lot to discuss. Like we mentioned, it's Martin Luther King Jr. Day. That's an interesting day, I think, in our history, because there's some things a lot of people don't know about Martin Luther King Jr. There's some things I actually, I'm not going to say learned today, but kind of refreshed myself on today. Did you know, we're going to get into some facts here to start the day, Matt. So you okay with that? Some Martin Luther King Jr. Day facts?
I love a nice little MLK fact.
All right. Did you know that he has the same birthday as George Washington?
I did not know that.
And did you know that those are the only two Americans whose birthdays are celebrated as holidays?
I did not know that.
I thought that was pretty cool. I didn't realize that either. Okay, so I've obviously heard the Martin Luther King and George Washington birthdays being the same. I've heard that throughout the years, but I didn't realize those are the only two Americans whose birthdays are celebrated.
Okay, hold on. I want to break down this fact really quick. So is George Washington just piggybacking on MLK Day?
Pretty much.
Because I didn't know are we supposed to be celebrating George Washington? At least his birthday?
I mean, I guess.
Or do you think they were like, well, MLK has this day, and then we found out it's George Washington's birthday? We're like, well, I guess it's the same day. We got to give it to him.
Yeah, I think so. George Washington's birthday is celebrated as a federal holiday on the third Monday in February. I believe that's Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday as well, but Martin Luther King Jr. Day is today, third Monday in January here. But yeah, I thought that was cool. Another fact here, his name wasn't always Martin. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
It was Michael up until he was 5 years old. His dad was working in Germany for some time and loved the work of Martin Luther, came back overseas and changed his name to Martin Luther and his son's name to Martin Luther King Jr., which I thought was awesome. Just how much he liked Martin Luther's work, enough to change him and his son's name, and it's kind of wild that his son went on to become who he was. Third fact here, Martin Luther King Jr. went to jail 29 times for perceived civil disobedience. 29 times, Matt. One of those times for going 30 and a 25.
Ooh, man.
That's insane.
That's a rule breaker out there.
He was out there, getting his point across. Here's one's a little bit interesting. I thought this was cool. He attended college at 15 years old because he skipped 2 grades in high school. He earned his bachelor's in sociology at 19 and had a PhD from Boston University by the time he was 25 years old. That's crazy. I get it was 1948 or whatever by the time he earned his degree, and then like 1955 by the time he earned that master's or that PhD, but still was very, very studious. He got to that education very quickly. He received a C in his public speaking class, though, when he was getting his initial bachelor's degree. I thought that was kind of crazy. Somebody who was considered as one of the best public speakers of all time.
So
not always the best.
What we know of MLK at this point, he goes 5 over, and he's a bad public speaker.
Yes.
I'm learning a lot about MLK today.
He won a Grammy. Did you know that?
How?
I did not know this either. For his best spoken word album in 1971 for his work called Why I Oppose the War in Vietnam.
Wait, what is a spoken word album?
I've never heard of this. A spoken word album.
I'm looking it up.
Do they still give these out? Do people still make these?
A spoken word album is an audio recording focused on spoken content like poetry. It's a podcast.
It's a podcast.
He had a podcast.
He had the best podcast in 1971.
And they gave him a Grammy for it.
Why I Oppose War in Vietnam. They gave him a Grammy for it. Love that. In 1964, probably should have given this fact out first, he was given the Nobel Peace Prize for being and at that time, in 1964, when he was given it, he was the youngest to have ever won it at just 35 years old. 7 facts for you right there about Martin Luther King Jr. Not really any facts on why he's celebrated today, which we could go into a whole radio show on. But,
they do still give out the spoken word album.
Really?
In 2025,
that spoken word album given out still?
It says at 2025 Grammy Awards, Tank and the Bangas won the award for Best Spoken Word Poetry Album for their work, The Heart, the Mind, and the Soul. And it's actually spelled Bangas as Bangas.
We could probably. Should we try to win a Best Spoken Word?
I think if we just submit all of the Big X podcasts just up there and we're like, let's go for this.
We'll give out there every our Louisville King show, the front 3. We'll send that out every week.
We do one segment of the show where it's all in rhyme, and that'll be our spoken word album.
That would be amazing. But I wanted to get some thoughts out. I mean, Martin Luther King Jr., one of the main culprits in the Civil Rights Act or movement, and doing a lot for the name of African Americans. Probably why I'm here on the radio today, or at least one of the main reasons as to why, which is cool. So we're going to talk about that, give some facts out here today. We're also going to get into the Game Day Men's Health text line all throughout the show early on. We don't save it for 3:30 give it its own hour. You send them in, we're going to get to them. We did already have some come in during the game Running with Roman show. Texter Dave, teacher from Jeffersonville texted in. He said, "So glad you all have a show today. I love what I saw during the Pitt game. Let's keep Allie going. I have to say, I'm rooting for Miami tonight. I think they can make it an ugly game tonight." We're going to be getting into the college football playoff at 3 o'clock. We're going to have Justin Kalen, a.k.a. Scoots, on the show with us to chat about what he thinks the game should look like tonight and just the overall vibe of Indiana football being in the national championship game and what that means. So we're going to be getting into that at 3. But, Matt, I'm with Dave here. I think Miami can make this ugly for a couple of reasons. How do you feel about tonight?
I think the 8.5 is pretty crazy, especially, for the sole fact of it's being played at Hard Rock Stadium in Coral Gables. This is a home game. Now, kind of jokes on Miami here. We've seen them not ever fill up their stadium anytime we play them, so hopefully they will tonight for a national championship game. But I just feel like that rushing attack against Miami and Miami's defense, I know that they have Carson back on their side, and if Indiana kind of makes him uncomfortable, we've seen that man can be an avid bang thrower in some high-pressure situations. But I just feel like this is a Miami defense that's going to give Indiana a real test tonight, and they're going to focus on taking away Indiana's key pieces, and that's going to be their receivers. That's going to be their running game. I think they're going to really try and get in the backfield and force Mendoza to use his legs. The only thing is, if any team in college football history has earned almost a 9-point favoritism over a team, it's Indiana. So it's kind of a stinky game for me. This is definitely like a player props kind of game for me. But I will say that if any team out there that has a defense good enough to make Indiana uncomfortable, we've seen so far in this playoffs,
it's definitely Miami, 100%. I think there's a couple of interesting points that we're going to be getting into this game. I think the main one for me is going to be that Miami offensive line and Mark Fletcher and what they're able to do when they run the ball. the average size and height on this Miami offensive line compared to this Indiana defensive line is just ridiculous. I think the heaviest player on the Indiana defensive line is like 290, and the biggest player on Miami's offensive line is like 380. That's just 6'7", 380 pounds going up against somebody like, 260, 270. They're not going to stand a chance. When they run the ball, I think they're going to run the ball with some success. If you can win the time of possession massively like they've been able to do a couple of games already, and they don't have Carson Beck beat them in the foot, there's no reason Miami can't make this one ugly, in my opinion. But we're going to get more into that one here in just a little bit. Another texter says on the Game Day Men's Health text line, in the span of a few short days, the Louisville, okay, we can't get into this.
Didn't think we'd get into this early.
I was surprised to see that come in this quickly. Can't get into that.
Special someone did some work.
Yeah, we had some requests. Not going to be chatting about that today, unfortunately, texter. Appreciate the thought, though. Podcast Random Thoughts got texted into the show here. Always glad to see him tuning in and chatting with us. PRTG here. You watching the Celtics-Pistons game tonight, Roman? Stones are going to bust that. And I'm still willing to make a bet with you. Pistons versus the field. You got to give me decent odds. And he sent in his old-time Detroit Pistons hat with the turquoise blue and the gold logo on it. That is a very, very, very cool hat there. I will admit that. I love the old Pistons logo. He's got that up next to his Detroit Lions.
Can all the NBA teams just go back to their old logos?
Come on.
They're all so good.
Or, at least, once a month.
I can't
wear
stand
that jersey on that court.
I can't stand that sports in general, because it's not just the NBA. The NFL has done it too. Minimalism has destroyed creativity.
Crazy.
It's horrible. Get rid of minimalism. I'm done with it.
I'm right there with you. Bring the extravagant colors back. Bring the extravagant logos back. Bring the big fonts back, because that's what sports are about. Your team is about being creative, being different, being your own entity, right? And then your fans worshiping that and loving every aspect of that. Sports over the last couple of decades have just tried, I don't even know if it's tried or if it's purposeful, but they have removed that small aspect of detail to the little things like logos and jerseys and courts and stuff. And those are the things that the fans love the most. So that's what I don't understand. It's like on the NBA side specifically, you have questionable things happening with your numbers in the regular season, right? You don't get the viewership you want to get. You had to introduce an entire in-season tournament with a financial incentive to get more eyes on regular season games before the calendar year flips over. And I think they've done a good job of that. Buy into doing it in every little way you can. Get the old courts back once a month. Get the old jerseys back once a month, right? And another thing, every old-time player that's ever played for your team, they should be in the game free on the court side. And I know this is a very specific thing that I just talk about. We want to see all of the old heads that have played for that team there. Those guys have to buy tickets, is what's crazy. Not every team. A lot of NBA teams don't show a lot of love to their old retired guys, which I think is kind of crazy. Get them down there for a halftime game interview. Buy into every little aspect of what NBA fans love. That's the old game combined with the new game, the new players combined with the old players. We want to hear what a retired player for an old Cavaliers team or an old Hawks team has to say about what's happening out there on that current team, right? And I get that they're kind of doing that with the players. Peacock's done a great job of changing things, at least with graphics and then the way that they go about their in-game coverage. Do it more. Go all out. Do whatever you can, because the viewership in the regular season is not what it needs to be for the quality of basketball that really.
We're not even putting the trophy on the little court logo anymore for the NBA Finals.
They said they're bringing that back.
Thank God.
They did announce they're bringing that back this season, so I will be excited to see that.
Do you remember in the middle of the finals last year, when people were complaining about it on Twitter? So for the next game, they put the AI images of it on. It wasn't at the game; they just projected it on the court,
and it's flickering out and buzzing.
I was like, "Oh my God, Adam, what are we doing?"
You don't even have good tickers on your feed.
David Stern would be rolling over in his grave if he heard about what's going on.
He would. But Matt, I want to continue on here and continue with our chat. We have more texts coming in on the Game Day Men's Health text line, so we'll continue to read these first. Appreciate you, Podcast Random. Okay, actually, let's answer this. Pistons versus the field, but you got to give me decent odds. PRTG, there's no way you really believe the Pistons are going to the finals at this point still, right? I mean, I know that I think that they should have some playoff success. I think they should even get out of the second round. You want odds to beat the field right now, in January? That's I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
I
if
mean,
they've
the
got
East
depth
looks
yet.
really weird.
It does.
The Celtics look here and there. They look good when Jaylen Brown is dropping 50 points, but they look bad when he's not. The Cavs are not even a shell of what they were last year.
But they're figuring it out now, and they're finally getting back healthy. And I think the Knicks have shown that they are the team to beat.
But they have to have Jalen Brunson.
They do. They do. I can agree with that. If you don't get a 100% Jalen Brunson, it's not the same team. When you do, and their rotations are right, nobody's in foul trouble, they've got it all. They've got the defense. They've got the half court. They've got the transition. They've got the shooting.
Bucks are terrible.
Bucks are terrible. Okay, so if it's based on how you view the East, I can understand the confidence, but I mean, they got to go get through a couple.
I think the Magic can
teams.
still figure it out.
That's an interesting one. They should. The shooting hasn't improved enough this season with the addition of Desmond Bane. It has gotten better, but it's still not what it needs to be, I think, to go be a true contender yet. It's tough. It's tough. We got to see how the Knicks start looking, I think. Pistons should be right there. I think they're the Eastern Conference Finals favorite, but I don't think I give them the edge over the Knicks yet. I'll come up with some odds for you, Podcast Random Thoughts guy. We'll get that together. Another texter has texted in here, says, Romy Bean, what up? I am Stones here. Cheers to a good week of you running the show. Cards put belt to ass. That was crazy Saturday. It was almost boring. Michael will be back within a week. Let's go Canes tonight so we can say we beat the champs on the road. God bless our Lakers. Bleep the Bears. I'm out. Go Cards. Oh, yeah. Shout out MLK. We did give our MLK shout out here. Gave some facts out. Shout out to Stones chatting in. He doesn't text in all that much, but he's been doing a good job here lately in 2026, sending his thoughts in. Always make sure to chime in on X as well whenever he can. Stone, you're right. Matt, I did the rewatch today, and it was like that. The pit crowd was silent.
Mm-hmm.
It was kind of hard to watch, but in my rewatch, I found myself being a lot more enthusiastic of the things I was seeing, the intensity, the energy level, the effort level on the defensive end. All of that was well improved, but it was kind of crazy to see us like be up like that on an ACC team. I think part of it for me was questioning so much, like, are we ever going to get back to that this season? Just in the last couple of weeks, are we able to going to be a team that can put 100 points up on the board with or without Michael Brown again? Like, I don't know. You don't know if Michael, if it takes too long for him to get back, is he going to have to get incorporated in the offense again? A playmaker and passer with that kind of skill typically is going to be a playmaker no matter what, but being incorporated into the shots and getting good shots again, right? That was all going to kind of be a question. And it feels good to see us without Kenai Roos as well, a point we didn't make, Matt Childress, I'm going to say it, the best defender on the team. He didn't play in this game, and we still belted him by 40.
To go with this, my one take of why this, no matter what, however we looked, all of my kind of nitpicky negativity I've had leading into this game that I can say that made me feel really good is, now this is still a lot for other teams, but we only took 29 threes. I mean, we've seen games where we've made 15 to 17 threes and we take 45 with Mike on the floor. You know, like we'll double that number almost easily.
Not really many bad threes in this.
Not a lot of bad ones. It seemed like our shots were a lot more efficient. We got a lot more open looks, and I think that goes down to what you said earlier. We ran a lot more sets. It felt like Pat Kelsey really had his hands on this offense in this game. And another thing, Ryan Caldwell only had to play 29 minutes.
That felt good. That felt good to see Ryan go out there and have a performance like that, and he had to not exert every single bit of anything in him to go out there and have that performance.
We had 5 players with a plus-minus of over 30 in this game.
Huge team basketball right there.
You had Adrian Woolley with 41, Isaac McNeely 34, Sanan Defru 40, Javon Hadley 30, and Ryan Caldwell 33.
Those are crazy numbers. I get it's because of a blowout, but that's team basketball. That's playing unselfish, and that's playing from start to finish the same exact way, right? We've seen teams get off to that 20-point lead and watch teams let them back in slowly throughout the entirety of a second half. We didn't do that, not even a little bit. Didn't slip up once. That felt really good. That's what you want to see. You want it to be boring for us, right? That means we're up big, right? Because if it's down big, you're not bored. You're mad. But like Stone says here, he says, Michael will be back within a week. I'm not going to put any guarantees, obviously. I don't know. You can never know for certain. I think with his tweet today and with what Pat Kelsey said today, Matt, which let's go ahead and we'll go ahead and read those quotes. I didn't have the Michael tweet pulled up. Do you have Michael's tweet pulled up? You want to read it?
I can pull it up really quick. If you want to go ahead and read the Pat Kelsey one, I'll get the Michael one pulled up.
Okay, Pat Kelsey asked Pat Kelsey asked on ACC call about the status of Michael Brown Jr. today from Jody Gimling at 11 a.m. We're hoping at some point this week to start getting him back into practice and to see how things progress from there. So that's a great sign. Michael says he'll be back at practice this week, but didn't get the exact quote. Well, what did Michael say?
Michael says one step closer. Been working extremely hard to get back as soon as possible. After great news, I will be practicing this week. See y'all soon.
A little bit more certainty there when Michael's tweeting it compared to Pat Kelsey saying, and start getting him back into practice some and see how things progress from there. Seems like Michael's ready to get active. He's ready to go. Pat Kelsey's obviously going to kind of see what happens, right? Because seems like he's been in this spot, right? He was told that his back's hurting. He needs to kind of take some time off. He took that time off. He came back to practice, and then throughout that first week back at practice, it was not improved, and he had to go full out no practicing, and that lasted, probably a week and a half or so. And now hearing that he is good to go, that's what we need. Right, Matt?
You're right. It also makes me feel really nice to know that these were almost like coordinated. You know what I mean? In the sense of Pat Kelsey starts off with the ACC call today and says Michael's looking better. We're going to do everything we can to get. We have a good chance of getting him back this week. And then Michael immediately tweets after that says, I will be practicing this week. It will be happening. So it makes me feel better that it's almost in response of like, hey, I want you guys to know that I know Pat Kelsey said maybe, but I'm saying I am. It's going to happen. I will be back.
And that when the player says it, I'm not saying we have to believe it, right? But that's kind of what you want to go by, right? You want to see what that player saying be the truth.
In his spot, you kind of do have to believe it. I mean, we've said it on this show 100 times that this man's entire career moving forward, his draft stock and everything relies on him coming back and playing more. Like, he's slipping by day.
And he knows that.
And he knows. So the only thing that could actually make this situation worse is him saying these things and just not following up with them. So if there's a time to believe in Michael, I think it's right now.
And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to hope that he can get back this week, get back right, and we can see him this weekend. We kind of coming down to the end of the segment here. We did get word from Justin Kalen that he had to shift his time slot from 3:30 guest to a 4:30 guest here on the Mike Rutherford Show. So we will be getting Justin Kalen on to chat Indiana, Miami tonight at 4:30 on the Call Your Law Firm hotline right here on the Mike Rutherford Show, presented by United Mechanical and Nexus Pro. Got time for one more text or so here. Texter says, already too much MLK Day talk for Chris the Plumber. Don't do that. I'm sure Chris the Plumber is an advocate for Martin Luther King and MLK Day. Don't do that.
This texter does not like Chris the Plumber.
He doesn't. The last text was, don't worry, Chris the Plumber. The mere mention of Tylenol through the radio will not. Yeah, we can't even read these. Yeah, but I get what you're. Yeah, Chris the Plumber. He loves MLK.
Chris the Plumber's got a text in here a little bit later. Hopefully he fires back.
Let's see what let's see what Chris the Plumber said. He says the Roman Kelly Show has a better ring to it anyway. Chris the Plumber. Look, he's a supporter.
That's a positive message right there.
He enjoys the show. He enjoys what we're getting into, no matter what. Riddler texted in. Riddler, sorry for breaking one of my rules and tweeting at Michael. Frustrated about a rumor going around that his dad was on Twitter Spaces running his mouth this weekend, bashing Louisville and Eli Foy. Hope it isn't true. Ended up with his AAU team in my mentions. Let's just get Michael back healthy and stop this petty nonsense. Riddler is not afraid to get active on X. He tweeted at me as well, which not really a disagreeing point with him at all with what he was making, but he had a couple of people tweeting back at him after he tweeted at me about the sentiment on high school recruiting and college football and how the portal is the way to go in the Riddler's eyes, and some people saying not always. You got to have that balance. We're going to be getting into that as well here in the next couple of hours right here on the Mike Rutherford Show. Thank you all for tuning in. We're going to continue with our chat and on the Game Day Men's Health Text Line right after this break, right after this. everybody. United Mechanical and Nexus Plus. Right here on the Big X. Roman Kelly, Matt Childress taking you down till 5:30 today. No Mike Rutherford. He is out in Disney's World Universal Studios. He's on that basketball court. I'm sure he's getting some shots up. They probably got one of those, machines. You shoot it shoots it back to you. Maybe even be playing pickup right now with what I've heard happens down there.
The basketball court story is so funny to me because I always think back. So I told Mike on Friday that the last time I went to Disney World was I was 21. Well, the time before that, I think I was around like 14 or 15, and I went with my family, and we stayed in a house around basically it wasn't. They didn't have Airbnb back then. It sounds weird. I feel like I'm old saying that, but we just rented. They had this neighborhood that's around Orlando. You could rent all the houses in it. It was like a weird condo kind of complex kind of thing going on. But they had like a tennis court. They had like basketball courts and stuff like that. And my brother and I, every day coming back from the park at night because it was warm, would go play basketball. And after like the second day of being there, we were there for like 4 or 5 days, more and more people kept showing up to the court, and we would do like open runs. And I remember it ended up on the last day, we had been playing with these two other guys all week. And we played basketball every single day, even if we were at the park for like 12 hours. We would go home, play basketball before going to sleep. And it made me think back when you were talking about the basketball courts and stuff, it made me think of the story because does anybody do that stuff anymore? Like, you just go to, like, besides, like, when people go to YMCA, go to gyms and do open runs, like, do you just go to public areas, interact with, like, random humans, and then get them to, you know what I mean? You know what I'm trying to say?
Probably not a lot here. I bet you, like, out in California, they still do that.
It was one of those things that, like, back then when I was a kid, I thought it was normal. But then I feel like after COVID, that kind of ruined all that stuff.
COVID's changed a lot of that. There is a lot less of that. Outdoors, you still get it, obviously, because it's, people just are going to be willing to be outside when it's nice, but not as much as we used to have of that. You're right. That's a good point there, Matt.
When was the last time you did an open run somewhere?
Like open runs straight up like that.
Like you just walk on the court, you're like, I got next.
St. Stephen's Church down off Ormsby in like 2018.
Wow, that's a long time.
Open runs, like I don't know who's going to be there. I just know that the court's open for anybody to go to, and doesn't cost money. Long time. Like, and that used to be like weekly.
Yeah, that used to be like a popular thing. You just went to open runs.
I know there's a couple people I know who kind of still do something like that, but it's small crowd. They know who's going to be there.
So organized.
Yeah, very organized type of situation now. And that's kind of how all of the hoop sessions I hear about are like
sad,
that.
Honestly.
It is. If it's not outdoors, you don't really get that vibe anymore. Lazard got texted in. Before we get into our next couple of topics, we'll continue with some of these texts coming in on the Game Day Men's Health text line, so they're in tune with what we're chatting about in the same time frames. Matt texter says here, with Matt on the Nowakowski play. Oh, he says, with Matt on the Nowakowski play, on his overs, and he's my first TD play. How do you feel about that, Matt?
That makes me feel good. I mean, Lazard guy bets a lot more than I do. It was one that I looked at today and kind of started salivating over it. I like it.
I like it, too. We're going to get more into that as well. With Lazard guy, I'm sure he'll have picks for us. Ticket Punchers will be on this week as well. Dolphins guy texted in. The NFL slobfest over Josh Allen is insane. Did McDermott toss those picks? Did he drop those idiotic fumbles? Bills are a sham crybaby organization. Josh Allen cost you that game. You would crucify Lamar if he did that. Catch rules have been debated for 15 years. The Megatron and Dez Bryant catches make this so obviously a pick. Cry more, Bills Mafia. Enjoy obscurity with a crap coach now and a GM that can't get a decent wide receiver. Dolphins guy hates the Bills.
Well, this is everybody in the AFC East, right? Like, this is everyone. Like, I can't stand the Bills either. I am on this with every statement he made is all facts. These are literal all facts. I said this on KRC on Friday. I sat here thinking, I sat back, I was like, I don't understand. I don't know how much longer McDermott has. Because, you have this generational talented quarterback in Josh Allen. Even if you hate him, he is one of the best quarterbacks we've had in at least the last decade easily. And you don't ever build around him. Their best receiver is Gabe Davis.
Yeah.
Gabe Davis is a glorified wide receiver 3 on an okay team.
Yeah.
He's like your deep threat when nothing else is open. You know what I mean? And yes, the game itself, Josh Allen lost that game. You can't throw that many picks and expect to win. That's on Josh Allen himself. But it's also on, like he said, the GM and McDermott in the fact of they never build around this guy. They don't give him anything.
He doesn't.
That's just the Bills franchise.
McDermott doesn't make good decisions. Hasn't for quite some time now. He's kind of gotten away with it through the Josh Allen successes. I saw some crazy stats today. I mean, Josh Allen's postseason career, just the number of fumbles he has. Now, the luck has also kind of been on his side for someone that's been so careless with the football while he's been rushing it. I believe he has 16 postseason fumbles. I'm going to go try to get this pulled up here. No, 15. 15 postseason fumbles in 15 postseason games. 29 passing TDs, 6 interceptions. Overall, 38 touchdowns to 10 turnovers. I mean, to fumble it 15 times and to only have lost 4 of those in your postseason career is outrageous. But 15 fumbles, that's unacceptable. Even having the most yards in your postseason career per game, having the best touchdown to interception ratio per game. If you're fumbling in fourth quarters of football games, it's there's only so much you can do, or at any point of a football game, I guess. But he's had some moments in the clutch where he just hasn't had success. He's been the turnover-prone kind of guy.
I will agree with him 100% on the fact that I don't like how the media has like spun the Josh Allen situation. Like, they showed the videos of his teammates crying in the locker room, saying he didn't let us down, this and that, and it was more of like this team backs Josh Allen. Josh Allen is here to stay. He's the guy. But he's not wrong. If Lamar Jackson did this, it would be media crucifixion.
They would say he should have never played the position. He'll never win. You can't play football like this. This is what happens with the rushing quarterbacks, and the same thing's happening with the Bills right now. Not a rushing first quarterback, but a quarterback that half his game is his body and his legs, right, and what he can do with his legs as a playmaker. He's had fumbles in clutch situations that have lost games. So
Josh Allen rushes more than Lamar Jackson does.
In the playoffs, yeah. That needs to be something that talked about. You need to give him the same hate that they would be giving Lamar, or that they've already even given Lamar. But I think it's finally starting to happen a little bit. Not necessarily the ESPN-esque media, but when you look at social media and the discourse on Josh Allen, feels like some people are starting to come around with him being the loser that he is. Do you buy into this take that he's the best to never do it?
The best to never do it?
The best to not even make a Super Bowl?
No, because
Peyton Manning.
To not make a Super Bowl, like never even sniff it?
Through this part of his career, through this point of their career.
I'll give it to him. He's up there, but I don't think Dan Marino ever won a Super Bowl either. And are we saying he's better than Dan Marino? I don't know. I could be wrong on that. But I will say he's definitely in the conversation.
Yeah, he's up there. I mean, yeah, you're right. Dan Marino lost in his one, but he made one.
So he made.
So he did make one. He did lose to. What did they lose to actually? The 49ers when he was with the Dolphins. Dolphins guy probably texting in here any second now about that. I mean, you look at what Peyton Manning did. He's right. He's up there statistically. Yeah, I don't think that when you see the turnover numbers and you see the second half point differentials in a lot of his playoff games.
Tony Romo never made a Super Bowl.
True. He had a lot of playoff success.
Warren Moon is apparently number 2. Phillip Rivers never made one.
Oh wow. Yeah, I mean
I think Josh Allen's better than Phillip Rivers in my opinion, but
yeah. Texter says Boxcar Bob texted in, says, I don't care if it was Pitt. It was a reassuring game to watch. It was nice to see us come out as the aggressor and go back to things we did well at the beginning of the year. We moved the ball well and hunted good shots. We set in our shots. We were set in our shots and weren't fading away on every three. We didn't just fall in love with the three and still went inside when that was the better shot. And it was nice to see PK actually use those timeouts to coach. Even though we were up big the whole game, he used the timeout when Pitt was on a little run and when Pitt got a couple of offensive rebounds on a single possession. He kept the team focused and locked in. Yeah, I did like seeing the timeout after the 2 consecutive offensive rebounds that they gave up because that's an unacceptable moment right there.
I had been screaming about this all season, and the biggest time I saw it was when we played Indiana. It was a similar game like this. We started out, 16-0 we started out? 16 or 14? I think it was 16. And we get the lackadaisical turnover that leads to 2 points for Indiana. And then we get the horrendous Ryan Conwell offensive charge foul that was actually a blocking foul. And they get a 3 on that end. That's a 5-point swing right there.
Yep. And
then we immediately put up a bad shot, and then they force a turnover again after that. And PK doesn't call a timeout. I'm like, dude, I understand we're still up 10. I get it. But the thing is like, I don't care if we're up 30. I don't care. It is your job to coach and think, okay, I get that we're up by a lot. You can let these guys play out of it. But we've seen this season already, these guys can't play out of it.
No, they can't.
They can't.
They let it get worse.
You need to stop it no matter what we're up. So it made me so happy. I know people on Twitter are making fun of it, like Louisville's taking a timeout up 30 because 2 offensive rebounds in a row. Yes! Because you need to do this now so that when you play against high-quality competition, it becomes ingrained in your brain that if I mess up 2 times in a row, we're stopping the game. We're slowing it down or resetting. So I'm glad he did this.
I am too. It was great to see. He did it a couple of times, which what they need. A lead doesn't change certain moments out there being moments where it wasn't good enough, moments where the effort level wasn't high enough, and that needs to be addressed in live time. When you're a player-led team, I think he gets into this head that, okay, they're good. They know it. They see it too. They know they're going to get with it, and I think he's finally knowing that he can't just rely on that. He has to take control. He knew that. It's not like he didn't know, but he,
how did you
kind of got shown to him again in these last handful of games, and it was good to see him use that in live time. Go ahead,
how did you feel about Frew and Ollie playing at the same time?
I loved it. I was going to make a point about this. I did actually have a bullet point note written down about this. I don't think we saw it before the lead ballooned, but without Kenai Roos, you've got to do things differently. We've begged, right? We've begged for them to put the size out there. Keep yourself with rotations that don't put you at a disadvantage instead of just trying to do what you do normally, except with a couple of guys that you don't have. It doesn't always really work. I loved it, Matt, because
Speaking of, we literally just got a text right now. It says, really like the 2 big man lineup. How about y'all?
Yeah.
Literally, as we spoke about it.
Sananda Frew can switch. I'm not saying he can guard 1 through 5, but there's only a few player types out there that he can't guard. Extremely, extremely quick guards that can just blow by him, and those, the 280-pounder down low that can just in one dribble get to the rim because he's still learning how to defend those kinds of situations, and he doesn't have that kind of size, right? He's held his own against some of those kinds of opponents, but you still see the moments in which they have had some success on him. Outside of that, he slides his feet extremely well. He knows how to communicate now out on the perimeter if he does get switched out onto a guard. Pitt did have a bit of a matchup situation for us that allowed for it. The person they have in the 4 spot not being the kind of guy that's going to stretch the floor all too much, or when he does put the ball on the floor, Allie Cleveland was either guarding a shooter or guarding somebody down low that wasn't getting the rock. And that kind of allowed for it to happen. I loved it, though. You kind of kept yourself with the advantage of getting rebounds because Alec Leaf was not really battling on the boards. We give those offensive rebounds up when he's the biggest guy on the floor sometimes. So I liked not allowing any moments out there where your rotation gives the other team an advantage. Pat Kelsey's done a good job of that in this last game, and I want to continue to see it. I would have liked to see Case and Pryor get maybe more minutes when you have a lead like that, just to kind of see how you can incorporate him with some double big lineups and test things out, but we know Pat Kelsey, until it's the last 2 minutes of the game, he doesn't really view basketball games that way. He wants to do everything as good as he possibly can for as long as they possibly can, right? He's not really worried about what it looks like with 5 minutes to go, what the score is. I think, Alec Leaf has kind of gotten into that rhythm now. He could have brought Kaysen in and kind of see if he can establish a rhythm too. 4 minutes when you led like that for so long, that didn't make too much sense to me, but I'm not going to nitpick. What'd you think of the double big lineup, Matt?
I loved it. It was like you said. We didn't see it early in the game. Whenever we were really having to fight and kind of pull away, we waited till we had a sizable lead, a sizable advantage. You can start implementing different sets and you can start experimenting, which is fine. But I liked it because you already mentioned it a little bit that the biggest thing about Ali Khalifa is yes, he is another facilitator on the floor, so he helps our offensive move. But we are killed on the glass. We're horrendous on the glass when he's out there because he's on the 3-point line. He's at the top of the key. He's helping facilitate the offense. He's not in position to get the rebound, so that's not technically always on him. But having Frew out there as well allows Ollie to spread the floor. Allows Ollie, he doesn't have to be on the block and at the top of the key in the same offensive set. You can run specific sets throughout your offense based on, okay, in this play, Ollie's going to be on the top of the key, so we need Frew hovering the block to get ready for the rebound. Or in this one, we're going to have Frew set an off-ball screen, so we have to drop Ollie back a little bit more to help out in the paint. You have more options. I get that this isn't going to be extremely viable all season. It's not going to be something we're probably going to see every game just because of the minutes disparity. We can't have these dudes out on the floor at the same time all the time. We're just not deep enough in the front court. But it was cool to see that these guys open up this new idea and this new play set, and it just clicked. Like it seemed like this set allowed Frew to play his game and Ollie to play his game at the same time and covered up your weaknesses a little bit. So this is one where I look back at the Duke game. If you get a really good matchup against, a high-quality opponent, get up early, you can start implementing stuff like this because you're already playing with the lead a little bit. You can try and kind of set in new ideas in this game, and this is one that will, if you put it out there, it'll immediately flip the game upside down, confuse the opponent. They'll say, we haven't seen this yet this year. It doesn't have to be for 20 minutes in a game. You could throw out there 5 or 7 minutes every single game, get dudes warmed up.
Exactly.
Just to kind of change the flow of pace and get dudes kind of playing out of position.
Might throw the coach off. Like, whoa, we've got double bigs out there. Let me go with more size now at a player at a position that I don't normally throw up, and it can mess their offense up a little bit. On our offensive side, Matt, one point that you just made that I love, and that was what I was going to make as soon as you were finished. What it does for you with Ali Khalifa making jumpers now and being that threat as a jump shooter, we know what his game is. It's catch and shoot, and then be that facilitator out on the perimeter with his screening and ball handoffs, and then finding those cutters. He's now established himself as a threat. You've got to come up and take him serious off the ball and on the ball. He's going to shoot it even if he'll look around. If you back off, he'll shoot that. He's made those now in ACC play. Those were the threes where it's like, okay, you hesitated, you weren't set. Why'd you let that one fly? He's making those now, and we kind of knew he could. It was just a matter of them starting to go in. When Ali Khalifa's out there stretching the floor as that type of ball handler and initiator, the hub, Pat Kelsey likes to call it, Sananda Fru can come in and still be that screening and roll man and a big man. Ali Khalifa's like a wing. He's not even like a big one on the offensive end for us. If he's making those three-point shots, now Sananda Fru can come in and be that true big out there. You don't have to worry about Ali Khalifa's man sagging off into the paint. As soon as Sananda Fru touches the ball, he's getting swarmed. You don't have to worry about that now. If Ali Khalifa's man has to take him serious as a shooter, I love it. You see the IQ, you see the passes. He's going to continue to make those overhead passes over the defense to the cutter and the bounce passes to the back door. He's probably the best big in the country at those. But at the end of the day, Matt, all of Ali Khalifa's game happens out on the high arc and at the top of the key. You can have a 5 playing if that 5 can be that screening man for you and that roll man, and he also has to kind of get not necessarily ignored, but at least acknowledged, right? You know, Sananda Fru man is going to be at least one step to him if he is out on the three-point line. But what this has done, the double big allowed us to do was keep Sananda Fru as the man in movement, as a screener and as a roller, that kind of alternating with Javon Hadley, who is also being that screener and that roller, maybe more so kind of fading out to the three-point line in the arc. It gives you more options, but it all starts with Ali Khalifa knocking these threes down. We can't even have it as an option if he doesn't start knocking these threes down, and it's been really, really nice to see them start going in.
I think that we could look back on the season so far with the way Ali Khalifa has developed, and especially his confidence behind the arc. I don't think there's a player on this team that's been impacted more with Case and Pryor not really working out than Ali Khalifa has.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, you already kind of alluded to it a second ago. If you put them out there together, you can spread Ali Khalifa around the floor, or vice versa, because, one, they can both shoot pretty well. They can shoot decently. We saw Case and Pryor shoot okay last season. We didn't get a full, sample size of him, but he's also hyper athletic. He's super long. He can get the boards on the. He's physical down low. You can help Ali spread the floor a little more. And Case and Pryor not working out has forced Ali to play a game that he just doesn't. Like you said, his skill set is facilitating and pulling that shot when he's able to set and get open. And he's had to play big man the whole time, and he's just not a traditional big. So playing this set, I love, and I love that we got Zugris in a little bit to kind of help Ali get more minutes in that situation to help build his confidence even more and give him more open looks. There was a lot we saw in this game. I know we'll get to some of the Javon Hadley stuff more. I think we saw a lot of new stuff with Javon Hadley in this game as well.
Yeah, so Texter just came in. Sorry to interrupt you here, Matt.
No, you're good.
Says, do you guys really think we did a lot of different? Do you guys think we really did a lot of different things on Saturday's game? Besides the double big lineup, I felt like everything else was fairly similar. We were just hitting shots in Pitt's defense's hot dog turds. The actions with Javon Hadley were different in this game, and then we were running full-on sets once we got up.
Yeah. I will say that was the initial thought for me that I told you I was coming in like a little bit of a negative Nancy, is like, okay, I love watching us hit shots, but is this just going to be the only way we win games? Is we just have to hit ridiculous amounts of threes? But we did get up, and then we capitalized on that lead and started running more sets and started getting into the paint more. Like I said, we didn't shoot 45 threes in this game. We shot 29, which is still a lot.
Yeah.
But we did get in the paint. We did run a few more sets.
The ball didn't stop either.
It did not.
While we were developing that lead. Every time we got past half court, the ball continued to move. But you're right, Texter. Ultimately, Scoots Hater, in the beginning segment, like 16-5, 13-0, when it was around that point, McNeely's coming off of a couple screens. He's hitting some shots. Woolley and Conwell are getting downhill, and Ryan hit a couple of shots the very, very beginning of the game wasn't very different. It was with everything that happened after there.
Something that made me really happy about this game in the early portion of the game, which was just a lot of us hitting shots, was we were punishing them on mismatches.
Yes.
We were punishing
Going
them.
after them.
Javon Hadley got double-teamed, 3 or 4 times early in this game. Every time Javon Hadley found the open man, which is something we didn't do against Virginia because our spacing was terrible, which was something we didn't do against Duke because we were in the mismatch the whole time. We actually punished a team for overcommitting, overhelping, and we punished every mismatch we had, which I loved what we did with Javon Hadley in this game, and we've seen it 2 games in a row now, I feel like, where when things started kind of slowing down a little bit, you saw it more in this game when Zugris came in. Pat Kelsey is running Javon Hadley at like the 2 and 1 sometimes.
Felt good.
We saw Javon Hadley bring the ball up the floor multiple times these last couple of games, and he said it in his press conference where Javon Hadley is just our glue guy. I can put him at 1 through 5, and he'll be like, I'll step up, coach. I'll do it. And this man, I mean, we saw it in the Virginia game when dudes couldn't get a bucket, that dude drove into everybody's chest, got to the free throw line, finished in tough situations, or went down the block, forced the double team, forced the mismatch, found the open man. The ball movement from Javon Hadley was incredible, and I think Zugris coming in this game and playing successfully, playing with confidence, allowed Javon Hadley to be in that role more efficiently. So if we can see Zugris more down the field, I'm not saying 15 to 20 minutes a game, but even just 7 to 8 every single game, and let Javon Hadley play his more true position, I think we're going to see that kind of efficiency out of him moving down the field a lot more.
I think you get better defensive versatility out on the perimeter with your guard play, too. You have Javon Hadley switching on to guards, being that bigger presence, forcing them to get rid of the ball in certain spots now. You haven't had Javon Hadley having to guard hardly any guards, which was a little bit of a tongue twister right there just now, much this season up until these last couple of games. And I like it. I think he needs to be out on the perimeter more. I know that he can be that presence down low against the right matchup, but at the end of the day, Javon Hadley's an athlete, and we need to be utilizing him as an athlete on the defensive end and on the offensive end. And it feels good to see him go out there and show that he is that Swiss Army knife, because he can be. Tex Crusader did also add, holy crap, I love the ball movement. That was the one thing that felt like it had disappeared, was the ball movement. Yeah. I mean, we do a good job, even without Michael, of swinging the ball up the floor, but once we get it down there, each person's holding on to it for too long with not, like, while they're kind of figuring out where they want to go with it or what they want to do with it. That can't happen.
I'm just glad we didn't see 80 bajillion handoff passes in this game. That was driving me nuts.
Passes that make the defense rotate, right? And the defense a couple of times made them switch, and then you made them switch a few times into a mismatch they didn't like, and then we made the right decision from there, or an assertive decision from there, which felt good. Even without somebody like Kenai Roos, who's more of in that half court, we need someone to make a quick, sound decision to get towards the lane. He's kind of done good jobs with that in the last few games that he had played. Haven't had that factor, and we still continue to do a good job of it. One more text came in here that I wanted to get into to kind of round out the segment of this Louisville basketball chat. It says, yeah, Roman, we look great when the threes go in. Nobody is arguing that. What happens when they don't go in? I hate to complain about a 40-point conference road game victory, but nothing has really changed, has it? Matt, you want to answer this first?
Reread it again. I was looking something up.
Says, yeah, Roman, we look great when the threes go in. Nobody's arguing that. But what happens when they don't go in? I hate to complain about a 40-point conference road game victory, but nothing has really changed, has it?
I think, look, it's just a one-game sample size, right? Coming off of a rough loss against Virginia, you go out and just stomp Pitt into the ground. Like you and I've said multiple times, that I was watching the game almost agitated. It's like, okay, I was nitpicking. I was like, okay, we're up 30, but we just gave up the easiest back cut known to man because nobody came over, rotated, and helped, and this and that, but that was 1 out of 10 possessions. This is a game where I'm not going to be upset because we beat somebody by 30. It was nice to see that we used the lead gained from hitting big shots and hitting efficient shots, because that was one thing that we hadn't seen was in a lot of these games where we made a lot of shots, the Cincinnati game, a lot of those were Ryan Conwell hitting really tough contested shots.
Yeah.
And then we kind of built off that. These were open, run off of sets, run off of great off-ball screens. We were getting other guys, like you said, Roman, we were swinging the ball, weren't just running that handoff, pick and pop.
And if they go under, I'm going to shoot it, even if there's a contest.
Exactly. Like, it looked like we were genuinely running sets out there. They were getting our guys open, and we were capitalizing on it. And then we took that momentum and then carried it to develop our play later on in the game, going into the paint more, getting more guys on the field, on the floor. So I'm not going to sit here and say that this team's completely flipped upside down and we can win in any possible way we want, but it does spell positivity for this team won this game not only by shooting, they got it done in the second half by a plethora of different levels. Because at the beginning of the second half, we were trading buckets with them.
We were.
If that's a 10-point lead, that second half's a little bit nerve-wracking because they were just going back and forth with us.
So that's another good point there, is that we didn't just start settling for threes once we got a lead and they started finally actually finding ways to get to the rim. That was another thing. We started actually getting the ball into the paint. That felt good to do. One thing I will kind of not necessarily say I will agree with the texter about, though, but I'll address and I'll acknowledge Pitt's bad defensively. Man.
They're terrible.
You made a point that they were overextending their help on drives to the rim, like it was like their life was on the line if they allowed a layup, which it kind of should be, right? You don't want to allow anything easy at the rim. You need to establish that presence as an interior defense. It was bringing two bodies on a baseline drive to Adrian Woolley, and he's not even rising up. And it's kick out, quick passes. One thing that I will say that I haven't seen in like a few weeks from Louisville is that when the first option isn't there on the offensive end, we haven't been sure on what to do next. Because of Pitt's lack of defensive presence on switches, and then, of course, when we moved the ball quickly, we knew what the next option had to be offensively, and we found that option fast. Louisville hasn't been able to find those options on the offensive end. They haven't been able to counter to teams' defenses well enough at all. We did a great job of countering to the help that Pitt tried to extend. That's kind of was one factor I think is a positive. The fact that they improved, right, that they got better at adjusting, that's one thing. And then the confidence when you see the ball go in is huge for jump shooters, right? We need Isaac Vanilli to continue having these games. We need guys like Zugers to come in and provide that presence. Ali Khalifa going 3 for 4 again, now feeling like it's serious, now feeling like it's real for him, that he's now that shooter he thought he could be. Those are all really big positives. But ultimately, beating a team like this is what you need to be doing on the road. So not a lot has changed. I just think that we can finally feel positive going forward about what this team can be in some of these conference games against mediocre talent.
You can take these pieces and elevate them going down the road.
Yes, exactly. Thank you for adding that, Matt. This has wrapped up this next segment here on the Mike Rutherford Show, presented by the Nexus Plus, and United Mechanical. Stay tuned. We'll be right back after this to chat more Cardinals and some other NBA, college football national championship, and a handful of other topics with our Game Day Mintel text line right here on 96.1 FM, 1450 AM, Big X Sports Radio. Texas Plus here on 96.1 FM, 1450 AM, Big X Sports Radio. Shout out to our YouTube listeners, also YouTube watchers tuning in live here on the stream. Continue to get your comments in. We're going to be getting into those as well. Matt, we're going to continue with the Game Day Men's Health text line. We've got a lot of Louisville basketball text still coming in that we're going to continue this conversation on about, if that's okay with you.
Works for me.
All right. 502-414-1450 is the Game Day Men's Health text line. Continue to send your thoughts in here. We're in the Louisville College of Business Studios. No Mike Rutherford today, just Roman Kelly and Matt Childress taking it down till 5:30. We will have Justin Kalen joining the show, the Hoosier, here on the Big X to chat IU football tonight going up against Miami. Miami 8.5, basically road dog or home dogs. They're going to have the home crowd advantage tonight. 8.5, I've seen the line move to. We're going to be getting into that as well here today on the Mike Rutherford Show. But right now, Game Day Men's Health text line coming right up. Stalwart texted in. We love the Stalwart text here on the show, Matt. He says, after the Pitt game, seems to me since the second half with Duke that we have an issue with playing at home as if we're tentative or playing tight. The biggest note from Saturday was this was a Pitt team that Clemson beat by 5 on the road. How do you think we play a little bit more tentative at home?
I think we probably can. We've had some really great home environments. We played Kentucky at home, obviously, and I feel like we kind of had control of that game for like 98% of it. Now we've seen that Kentucky isn't as great as we thought they were. They look better this season beating Tennessee. But there is a thing to be said about Pat Kelsey, at least in his tenure at the Center. I know that like last year, there was the whole speculation that something about
shoot on our home floor.
Shoot on our home floor. The arena is too big for some of these guys. They never played an arena this big before, right? I think this team, especially Pat Kelsey, understands how volatile this fan base can get and how much in the spotlight this team is in. So I could definitely see how when you're at home, the home court advantage almost plays towards both teams in a certain sense. When you have that big of a crowd like Louisville has in these big matchups sometimes.
All you want to do is make the right play.
Exactly. You want the crowd pop. And then when it's quiet for too long,
it can hurt.
You start getting nervous. Guys, we got to get the crowd into this. We got to start doing this. We got to start elevating our game. We got to start changing things up. It can get in your head just as much as it can get in the other team's head. So I don't necessarily disagree with this.
Clemson only beat this Pitt team by 5. That's crazy to think. But Stalwart, I think there's something to be said about this. When you look at the way that Louisville performed, like in the Cincinnati game, right? That's one game in which I felt they did a great job on the road, not being tentative. Had its moments for sure, but ultimately we were ready for the moment in that game. Indiana, which we had our home crowd there for the most part, the advantage at the very least, but that was still a road environment, or like not on our home court. Or actually, was that one? Yeah, no, that one wasn't on our home floor. That one was up in, where was that one?
Which game are you talking about?
The Indiana game was in Gamebridge.
Yeah,
right?
that was in Indianapolis.
That was in Gamebridge Fieldhouse there. So, we did a great job there with our home crowd in that one. But still, we weren't tentative in that matchup. You look at what we did against Cal, going out on the road across the country, handling business from start to finish in that one. I think, though, that our issues ultimately come from circumstance. They're not really home or on the road. When we get down by a certain margin and then we don't see our sets or our actions leading to clean, open looks, and then the communication on the defensive side feels like it's enough and it's not. We're allowing easy paint looks to the rim. It all starts collapsing in live time, and it all starts to feel like nothing's working out, and they don't know what to do. I don't know if it happens more often than not on our home floor. I think we're going to need a little bit bigger of a sample size. Just seeing what kind of happens with the two tougher road games that we've got and a couple of home games that I think we should win.
I was going to say, I feel like the last 2 seasons, especially under Pat Kelsey, we've had a lot of big top 25 matchups at home and a lot of our road games. We've had top 25 games on the road as well this season, like with Tennessee, but a lot of those have been kind of lower tier competition where we're kind of walking all over. So I think a little part to play in is that we're bringing really good programs into the Center. And we're playing competitively against them, whereas like the Tennessee game, we were just ran out from start to finish. Arkansas, we were ran out from start to finish almost. Duke played really competitively for most of the game. Virginia got down early but came back, played competitively for most of the game. So I don't disagree with it, but I think that like you said, Roman, I think the sample size isn't there yet.
I agree. We'll have to see. We'll be able to see here very, very soon with the next couple of teams we've got to see if we can look good on our home floor against a team that will challenge us, but ultimately necessarily doesn't have an overwhelming amount of talent in you. You should be able to combat in that game, and then we'll see what happens with Duke and then coming back with SMU, 2 tough games like that. Matt, let's look at what happened this weekend, though. The ACC had an interesting weekend. North Carolina getting upset by Cal on the road, having a rough road trip out there out west. Not necessarily anything too crazy happening in the ACC, but Virginia beating SMU pretty handedly, kind of showing that they're serious like everyone's questioning, right? Iowa State, not 16-0 anymore, not an SEC game, but they've lost a couple of now, losing to Cincinnati. Do you think that Arizona, Nebraska, like how long are these teams going to stay undefeated, Matt?
I mean, Nebraska plays a very balanced style of basketball, one that's really hard to beat, and Nebraska's home court advantage is one of the best in the country right now. Arizona is very similar. That team is just pounding, bruising to wins, and they do it dominantly. It's like their toughest game is against Arizona State.
They're kind of my favorite to win it all.
That's a big rivalry matchup. I think this should be a lot of people's favorite. I think that's a really great team. Nebraska, I see going down a little earlier in the sense of just because of the way Arizona plays, they play so physically dominating. Like, they really smother you on the defensive end, and they don't have to spread the floor a lot because they're so big and they have so much size. They can just pound you in the paint game in and game out. And, I mean, at the lowest possible molecular structure of basketball, sometimes bigger guys just win. Like, that's just how it is. Like, if I go out there, Roman, and we play against Anas Mahmoud, like, we're probably going to lose. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes at that level of basketball, that's just what it is. And Arizona has a lot of size. I think they're going to be really tough to beat. They're definitely one of my favorites. I think Nebraska goes down before Arizona.
I think so, too. I think it's only a matter of time before Nebraska goes down, if I'm being honest. I don't know.
Didn't you and Mike talk about this last week, and he said that he thinks Arizona's going to go like 25-0 before they lose?
23-0, I think
yeah, something like that.
The more I watch them play, the more I understand why he feels that way, and I get it. Even with a team that doesn't shoot threes much at all, they still take really good threes on the few that they do hit. They are just overwhelming with their defensive size. Everybody in the lineup can guard anybody out there on the floor. I mean, they're like Jaden Bradley's 6'3" senior, I think is their smallest starter. He's stocky. Like, he is a very, very difficult guy to get by. Braden Berries, they say he's 6'4", 205. He looks more like he's 6'6", 220. The other guard that they've got, freshman, that doesn't get talked about hardly at all, could probably get drafted this season if he really wanted to. I don't know if he's going to stay or not. I believe he'd be a first-round pick if he wanted to be. They've just got overwhelming size. They attack the grass crazy. I mean, they beat UCF handedly. UCF played them somewhat close, but ultimately they never looked like they were going to lose this game. And Cole Pete only have 4 points. they get what they need from other guys in this unit that they've got, and they have the defense and size on the bench as well. Arizona is very, very scary. I just think that if they go up against a team with crazy good shooting that lights it up one night, do you have enough offensive firepower to combat that, right? If you go off to you let a team get up to like a 15-6 kind of a lead early on in the game, and they're able to continue hitting threes, that's going to be the way that they lose, I think. It's going to be a team that gets super, super hot one night because they've got the defense to combat pretty much anything you will want to do out there. Nebraska, I'm not saying they're bad or anything at all. I just don't know. They're beating good teams. They beat Michigan State. They beat Ohio State. They beat Indiana. So now I have to take them serious. And they're scoring a lot of points when they play well. The craziest thing is that they force turnovers at the rate that they do. They just play clean basketball, and they force you to play dirty basketball, and that's how you win. I don't know if it's going to continue to last, though, for Nebraska. Some more text coming in here on the game day. Actually, Matt, let's chat about something. You sent me some text that I want to get into. You sent me another text that we're going to save for Scoots, but we were announced with our NBA All-Star starters for the All-Star game. We got the East and we got the West. The West has been announced. Luka Doncic, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Stephen Curry going with 3 guards, Nikola Jokic, and Victor Wembanyama. Here's what I'll say about this. I don't know if Steph has earned it first team over Anthony Edwards right now out in the West. With what Anthony Edwards is doing offensively, averaging almost, I believe he's averaging exactly like 30 points, if not like 0.4 points away. Yeah, 29.6 points on the season, which is 5th in the league. Defensively, 1.3 steals, almost averaging a block, playing 35 minutes a night, shooting 41% from 3. It's tough. It's really tough on almost every category except free throw percentage and assists per game. Ant beats Steph out. And I think that's tough. With the injuries to Victor and Jokic, you're clearly not going to like look at games or anything like that. So I would have given the nod to Ant. But, I mean, the fans play such a big role in that as well. So, not mad at it. On the Eastern side, Jalen Brunson, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Tyrese Maxey, Cade Cunningham, and Jaylen Brown. So they go the 3-guard route as well. 4 if you count Jaylen Brown as a guard, and then Giannis Antetokounmpo down low. No debate on this one. I don't think there's even an honest, true take for any of these players to not be a starter. I think obviously Donovan Mitchell is right there, interchangeable with Tyrese Maxey or Jaylen Brown. But Jaylen Brown has been insane offensively. Jalen Brunson has been an insane scorer and floor general for his team this year. Maxey's had the highest scoring output. You can't really argue it with those guys being the culprits for success statistically for their teams, even more so than Donovan Mitchell. I'm not mad at it. I like it. But it's also kind of, the fans play a huge part with their voting as well. So that's how it works. That's the NBA All-Star starters for the All-Star game. Excited to watch that one. More text coming in here, Matt. Do you want to see what the YouTube chat has for us?
Yeah. So we actually have 2 comments so far from the same person, actually. It says, as a Bills fan, it's true. Josh, still a great player, though. I think they were talking about when I was going on my rant about how the Bills will never have success.
Yeah, so the Bills kind of...
Their GM and stuff sucks.
Yeah, it does. It's true.
Which I was also from the texter. It wasn't really from me, but I was just piggybacking off it.
Front office hasn't made the best decisions over the years. Coach hasn't made the best decisions over the last couple of seasons. And you got a quarterback who's kind of iffy to take care of the ball. I do think ultimately, though, Josh Allen is you shouldn't change anything there. He needs to be the guy for you. And we've seen how long it's taken some other quarterbacks and greats to get over that hump. And we've seen other great quarterbacks never get over that hump. What he's able to do in regular seasons to get his team there, though, I mean, he's definitely a great quarterback. It's just in the playoff time when it comes to making the winning plays consistently, might lose the ball.
Oh, sorry, there's another one. It says, Coverdale to UK, Brian going to have to start working now.
Read that again?
Coverdale to UK, Brian going to have to start working now. Because we're talking about Brian Brom.
Brian Brom, Coverdale to UK. I don't know who. I didn't see this. I mean, Brian Brom's been putting that work in, Matt.
He definitely has. I'm trying to figure out who. I actually don't know who.
Louisville football.
Oh, okay. It's Andrew Coverdale as Kentucky's pass game coordinator.
Okay.
So he is I actually don't know who Andrew Coverdale is. Andrew Coverdale will be the Kentucky pass game coordinator. He spent the last 2 seasons on Jeff Brom's staff as an offensive analyst at Louisville. That makes sense. So I mean, he's saying he's insinuating that Brian Brom's going to have more of a role, and he's going to have to step up and into a new role in this offense because we're losing our pass game coordinator to Will Stein.
Oh wow!
Brian, I actually did not see this over the weekend.
I didn't see this either. This is big news. Brian's going to have to step up for sure. They're going to have to find somebody to go into that
Maybe
spot.
It was just now because this was actually written by Nick Roush 2 hours ago. So maybe it was right when we went on.
That would make sense. I didn't see this, though. I haven't seen this. It's news to me right there. Did you see the commit, though, we got? Louisville football over the week or yesterday?
Yes.
Tennessee transfer. DB Caleb Beasley is committed to Louisville. He tells On3. 6 foot, 200 pound. He had 24 tackles in 2025, 2 pass deflections, and 1 fumble recovery with 2 years of eligibility. Big pickup right there for the Cards. Coach Merrill had tweeted about that. We saw that he said, love it. We also I saw that from the Nick Bromberg's college football transfer portal winners. He has Louisville as the 3rd team on his list. Texas Tech, Texas, Louisville, Indiana, and Virginia Tech as the transfer portal winners so far this season. One of 2 ACC teams, us and VT being on there. You knew VT was going to bring the recruits in, obviously. But good to see Louisville right back up there, kind of how we were, where we expect to be and where we want to be.
This is also a big one for the sense of the eligibility. This is a guy who's been tested in SEC games and gets genuine reps. Like, we're not getting a guy who's
We're hoping can play at this level.
second or third string who got in garbage time. Like, he's just playing genuine minutes for Tennessee, who, maybe wants a little more money somewhere else. Maybe Tennessee has some other guys coming in that might take a spot. He wants to compete a little bit more. This is one where you're taking advantage of a guy who has more eligibility that he's coming here, whereas in Tennessee he might have a position battle going on. He can come here and be an instant impact.
Exactly. And not have to probably battle for reps, which he's probably having to do out at Texas or Tennessee, which I wouldn't be surprised led to his decision. Another bit of notes, little Louisville athletic notes here. Did you see today that from Baseball America, they've got Louisville baseball ranked 18th in the preseason top 25?
I like that.
I like that too. There are a couple of ACC teams above us right now. Virginia, which you understand, they've been a very good baseball program. North Carolina sitting at the 7th spot right now in the preseason top 25, and then Georgia Tech at the 4th spot. Below us, we do have Miami rounding out the top 25. So ACC having a good showing with some preseason top 25 talks on the baseball side of things right now. We like that. We like to see that. Now, more text now coming in. Anything else on the YouTube chat?
Those are the only three we got right now.
No Card Scott coming in on the YouTube chat?
Not yet.
Come on, Scott.
Kind of quiet right now.
Come on, Scott. Send your comments in. We know you watched the game. PRTG got back in on the Game Day Mentel text line here. He says, PRTG here again. Light bulb moment. Send every episode from the Big X to the Grammy voters and win most denied awards in the Guinness book. I never joke about betting on my teams. The Pistons team is relentless. We'll work on odds, Roman.
This is a great idea, actually.
That is a great idea. We talked about wanting to try to win some sort of Guinness World Record if we could, or maybe seeing if there's one that is somewhat achievable. I think that we could maybe achieve that. Most denied awards. Most denied at an awards event. We'll just do it every, I don't know, we could send every show and get denied for every single show and have it happen pretty quick, but that's a good idea. Finagle of the system there.
I'm looking it up. I don't see one, but they kind of threw some shade at some genuine people. They said that there isn't a single official world record for most denied awards, but while figures like Marlon Brando and Sachin Littlefeather, I don't know who that is, famously rejected major industry awards. So they're kind of throwing some shade at some people for not winning their Oscars.
They are.
But unfortunately, apparently this is not a stat that Guinness World Record tracks.
We have an NFL text. We had a couple of NFL texts come in today on the Game Day Mental text line. Matt, we didn't really talk much about some of the other games over the weekend. Caleb Williams and the Rams.
I thought he did it again.
Caleb Williams versus the Rams.
I really thought
he did it again.
And this one was entirely on Durant. The dude, genuinely, all you have to do is just stand in front of the man you're defending. And it looks like he tried to, jump and swat the ball down, and he jumped, 40 seconds too early, and he's covered the whole route. And then just leaves defensively, just walks away from him, and gives him the touchdown up.
And the most critical point in the game. I thought that was crazy, but the throw by Caleb Williams was just unreal, Matt.
Off his back foot, falling away.
Back foot falling away, perfectly lofted, perfect amount of power on it, in the perfect placement. And then you just knew, I said it in the group chat, I said, Matt Stafford's about to come out here and dagger him right up. And he didn't. He had to force overtime. They had to go into overtime, but in overtime, when the Bears didn't score, you just knew what was about to happen. He's too savvy. He's too in touch with his receivers. Matt Stafford, after some few great completions there in that overtime, they get into field goal range. There was a lot of questionable moments in this game from both sides. I thought early in overtime, the decision to run on 3rd and 1 from the Rams was interesting, knowing if you don't get it, you got to punt anyway. Why not try to throw the ball there? Why not put it in your playmaker's hands? Instead, running it outside with Blake Corum was the decision. I thought that was interesting. There's a few interesting moments in that game. Ultimately, though, the Bears not able to get across when they needed to. But, that first overtime, Caleb Williams, he's just unreal. He's unreal. It's kind of funny. You don't know if you're going to get, Anthony Richardson when you have Caleb Williams out there, or if you're going to get, Tom Brady. And he's kind of shifted into this new thing where he's Anthony Richardson in the first half and Tom Brady in the second half. But not enough Brady for him as the Bears get the job done 20-17 in that one. Matt, that was probably the game of the weekend.
I think so. I think it's easy. You could say either that or the Broncos-Bills game.
It was good, but That ending, that overtime, if you didn't know who was going to have it.
Yeah, if the Broncos-Bills game had almost any sliver of defense at all, then that would have been better. I mean, this game was like the Rams-Bears game. I mean, it was a snow game. They had to bring the leaf blowers out there to get the field going.
Yep.
These dudes were slinging it in under 10-degree weather. It was just one of those old-school football games that you remember growing up as a kid, like watching Megatron go down and fill his whole face mask with snow, and dudes are dogging it out in the trenches. It was the best game of the week.
It was. We didn't get much into the interception versus not interception debate. I mean, they're clearly different. I didn't understand a lot of the tweets saying that Devontae Adams and what happened with Devontae Adams and what happened with Cooks on his reception were the exact same thing. It wasn't. Cooks had to jump up in the air, turn his body, bring it back down. He had full control on the immediate catch. There was an arm in there on the way down. He lost full control on the way down before his knee touched, in my opinion. And the ball never touched. That's an interception. Devontae Adams had full control on the catch, full control on the way down, and as his knee touched, the ball gets stripped. So I don't really understand the debate on those two things being the same thing and the referees lacking consistency. I think they were clearly different when you look at the way the Cooks had to jump and what happened in the air versus Devontae Adams not having to do so. You kind of just never really believed in Josh Allen. I mean, there were some moments in that game, Matt, where it's like, okay, now they've established the momentum. They've got some stops. They were still down what was like basically the whole time. So, still sad, though, for the Broncos fans who haven't been there in so long, 11 years since they were in that kind of situation. Winning this game and then not having your starting quarterback for the next one on your home field will be tough. But who do you like? I don't think you'll, I should say, do you think the Pats cover the 5.5?
I don't know if they cover the 5.5. Denver's defense is incredibly good. I mean, you've seen that in this playoff session itself that Drake May has kind of struggled with pass rush. I mean, he had 3 fumbles last night. They had 4 fumbles last night, lost 2 of them. I get that's not all on him. He's a heavily sacked quarterback, but he has been holding on the ball a little bit too long, and I feel like he's not using his legs to the ability that he needs to in these situations. So that's where I kind of get nervous. I will say that he won't have to face a pass rush as tough as the Texans for the rest of this. If they go to the Super Bowl, he won't have to see something that tough again. So it bodes well for him. I think they win. The Bo Nix being out definitely plays a huge change on their offense. But the thing is Bo Nix has looked great towards the end of the season, but that defense has won them so many games.
It has.
So it's one of those where, just like this Texans game, can the Patriots put up enough offense to basically put you in a buffer zone to where you can kind of, can you strike early enough and to take advantage of Bo Nix being out fast enough that their defense can't gain any momentum? Because if we start this game with Bo Nix out and they get us on a 3-and-out, maybe 2 first downs and an out, 2 first downs, we can't score, we can't get any true points on the board.
It could get ugly.
I like the Broncos down the stretch. But if we can do what we did against the Texans, where we capitalize early on the C.J. Stroud issues, we capitalize early on Jarrett Stidham having to be their starting quarterback, then I think the Patriots could cover that, but I think it's going to be about a field goal.
You guys ran the ball when you needed to as well.
Yes.
You did a good job of it.
Ramondre Stevenson did a great job.
Stevenson's, if it was 2 or 3, it looked like it was going to be 1 or 2 yards. He was still falling for that extra 2nd or 3rd or 4th yard on the short runs, and he got a couple of those 6 or 7 yard runs that they keep the defense honest, right? And Drake May in the short passing game and the intermediate passing game with his receivers has been as accurate as anybody. If they can continue to run the ball like that, though, and stay in short yard down situations, the playbook for the Patriots is just way, way, way too extensive and too hard to defend consistently when you don't know what's coming and you don't know if you're going to be able to stop it. I liked what I saw from the Patriots. I like them to cover the 5.5 without Bo Nix. I know that this is a team that ultimately didn't rely on Bo Nix to be a game breaker for them. I still think, though, that the Patriots' defense and offense, the way the balanced football that they play, Drake May doesn't throw any turnovers or anything too, tough in a situation that's going to give points to the Broncos. They should be able to win that game. We didn't get much into the Seahawks 49ers. We are coming up to the break here. There's not much to get into, though, Matt. Seahawks handling business over the 49ers, absolutely demolishing them. Seahawks defense looks serious. You've got to kind of feel like this Rams-Seahawks matchup's not necessarily the Super Bowl game, in terms of the 2 best teams, but statistically, it was the two teams that were the best in the regular season for the longest. They were the most consistent. This is going to be an extremely good matchup between what was one of the best offenses all year long against what was one of the best defenses all year long. We'll be excited for that one. Seahawks 2.5-point favorites. I'm probably going to lean Rams plus 3.5 in this, just because I think that Matt Stafford's going to have something to say. Keep that game close. But with the field goal line, give yourself a chance to avoid the hook there. This is going to wrap us up here at the end of the 3 o'clock hour. A couple more segments coming up right after this. We're going to get into some college football national championship talk right here after the break. This has been the Mike Rutherford Show with Roman Kelly, Matt Childress. More to come right after this right here on the Big X. Nickel and Nexus Plus. Roman Kelly and Matt Childress here, taking it down till 5:30 here on the Big X. Matt, we're going to get back into the text line. We're going to be getting into a lot of other talk today. We'll have Justin Kalen joining to chat IU football with us as they are in the national championship tonight, which is still crazy to say. Like, even knowing that they've been there, we've known for over a week now, it feels weird. It feels weird that Indiana is in the national championship game tonight going up against Miami. I mean, it feels weird for Miami to be there. It's not, in my college football fandom, been a team that I've ever felt like was going to be there, even though you kind of knew they've always had the talent. They've never been able to put everything together in the last handful of years that I've been paying attention, and they've done so this year. Defense, unreal. Offensive line, unreal. I want to chat about that. We did get one text in kind of about that, Matt, but before we do, let's just go ahead and finish out the text line because there's not very many texts. I'm sure there's going to be more coming in as we'll have Scoots on as the Indiana-Miami chatter kind of ramps up. I want to know how many listeners are on the favor of Indiana tonight or how many listeners are on the favor of Miami. I keep hearing a lot of people feeling like Indiana's going to win. Indiana's going to win handedly. And then I ask my college football friends that are really into it, Mr. CFB Abe, who will maybe potentially be joining the show here today. He thinks Indiana can cover. I asked a couple other people who have been watching both teams all season long, and they think that Indiana has Miami can cover, and that Miami has the tools to keep this game close. We're going to continue to chat about that, and we're going to see what Justin Kalen thinks as well here on the Mike Rutherford Show. But before we do, let's get into the rest of these texts. The Riddler does come back in and say, Roman, moving forward, I will direct my Twitter rage where it should appropriately be. At Josh Hurd. The Riddler, I love this about you. I love your persistence. I love your confidence, and I love your belief in what you think is right. Never change, Riddler. And, yeah, you want to refrain from the frustration being directed towards players that are not on bad MLB teams. That's what you keep those tweets for. I'm just kidding, of course. There's no good in it. It's just putting negativity out there in the world for nothing. Now, if it's on a situation, your opinion on a situation that you're just tweeting about, definitely get those thoughts out there and be as intense as you need to be. But when it comes to adding people, it just not a lot to gain in my eyes. But if it is something that, helps you out as a fan, then not illegal. Doesn't bring any physical harm to anybody. Krista Plummer texted in here. Says, I love MLK. Krista.
I just like how you had to preface that.
I love MLK. I have no ill will towards anybody. I love all y'all, even Mike and the texter that always slanders me. My favorite quote is from Will Ferrell in Semi-Pro. He said, LA, everybody love everybody.
ELE. Everybody love everybody.
Oh, okay. ELE. I didn't know what that was. ELE. Everybody love everybody. That's what I do every day. I don't have time for the haters. Krista Plummer. It's a great mindset to have right there, Chris.
Everybody love everybody.
Texters, I haven't seen that.
You never see Semi-Pro?
I don't think so.
Oh man, that's such a good movie. You're a basketball dude too.
Is it the turquoise and orange?
Yes, the Flint Tropics.
Yeah. Is that the team?
Yes.
Okay, I've seen that, but I don't remember anything about them.
It's got Woody Harrelson in it.
Yeah.
It's got Andre 3000 in it.
Yeah. I saw it a long time ago. I probably need to rewatch it and actually know the story on it. Texter says, is Amari Bailey developing into Mike Casa with a jump shot? Not as physical as Mike Casa, but plays with the same heart, hustle, and desire to win. Go Lady Cards. I need to look more into my Kisses game than that, but Amari, I know, has been elite all year long, and she's only getting better. And it feels good to see her kind of like finally looking like that elite kind of presence within that offense. Only up from here for her, I feel like. Lazar guy texted in. Says Miami also down a starting safety in the first half. Matt, what do we think of this? How big of a role do you think that plays in this game tonight?
One more time.
Miami also down a starting safety in the first half.
I mean, that's definitely going to play a role. Miami's defense is what is their bread and butter. For me, though, like I said earlier, I don't think it's going to be their secondary that's going to have to slow them down. It's going to have to be the rushing attack. It's going to have to be the front four. It's going to have to be Ruben Bain and his group. It's going to have to be getting to Fernando Mendoza, forcing him to not allow them to go deep, kind of get in the backfield early enough that he's going to have to get rid of the ball in a short stance, possibly coming off the back foot or, just getting rid of it early. That's going to be the way Miami can slow this team down. If they're not able to get in the backfield and they start letting, Fernando Mendoza go downfield, this game is where it's going to kind of be able to get ugly, because then you start being able to attack those backup safeties. We're going to have to hear Ruben Bain's name be called tonight. And unfortunately, in some matchups, one being Louisville and one in the last game of the college football playoff, we didn't hear that a lot.
We didn't.
We need him to. I say we as if we're Miami fans. If you're anybody,
ACC.
If you're anybody betting on Miami tonight, you need to hear Ruben Bain's name be called, because that's what's going to get them to win.
We're betting on Miami tonight. Thanks, Matt, for agreeing with me, Texter says. Don't let Josh Allen truthers ignore the fact that he fumbled the historically worst playoff field of all time. No Lamar, no Mahomes, no Burrow. Yes.
These are all great teams that are in the playoffs, though.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, you're going up against some of the best defenses we've seen in some.
The only one of those that you can really defend is Mahomes. Like, he still had the same exact team he had last year almost. There was a couple injuries, but he got some guys back, and he just had a horrible season. You know, like the team itself just had a horrible season. Lamar, defense just not there. They have no defensive presence at all. They can't stop anybody from scoring. Lamar dealing with injuries all year. Joe Burrow, injured 90%, 75% of the season at least. He came back, looked really good. Another team, zero defense at all. So it's just one of these where, yeah, you don't have those elite quarterbacks, but at the end of the day, like, the quarterbacks aren't literally playing against each other. None of those teams have any defensive presence at all at this moment.
Yeah,
so.
And it does, it's tough because you put 30 points on what was one of the best defenses this season, and that wasn't enough. You feel bad for them about that aspect of it, but
it's kind of what you see in the
Bills
NFL.
have no defense either. Look at some of the first halves of football they've played this season.
That's kind of what I'm getting at. It's kind of weird that you see that in today's NFL, that all these teams that you see have a really elite quarterback, they don't put defenses behind them. They almost rely on them to score a bunch of points and just win the game, whereas you'd think, okay, well, we have an elite quarterback. We can kind of save some money on the offensive end because of the talent we have and fluster our defense.
Yeah.
Like bolster that area so that, we're going to give them some help. And a lot of teams this year just have not done that.
I think if you have a quarterback like that, the priority needs to be the defense. Like, you look at, like, those Packer years where Rodgers was good and, combating for a playoff spot, the Packers' defense was good. All he needed was that one receiver. People have always said, like, they never build around these quarterbacks. They don't ever give them anything. I mean, it doesn't really work that way. Look at what Jamar Chase and T. Higgins are getting paid, and the result of it is that Bengals defense, right? I think the priority needs to be back with how the Ravens were just a few seasons ago. Do whatever you can to get the best defense possible. Ideally, like, have the best position group in one of your defenses if you can, because that should lead to you're either one of the better pass defenses or one of the better run defenses, whichever position group that may be. Don't worry about the other athletes. Get the best defense. Get your quarterback out there. He's a playmaker. Get some receivers. Get a couple of running backs that are just, vet minimum kind of deals, and let the quarterback go out there and make plays on the offense and have a defense that can get him the ball as much as possible, right? I think that's kind of the setup for these teams that don't have the high-paying good quarterbacks. They're trying to go get that receiver one and get that best receiver two that they can and see if they can get a elusive, nice running back on the cheap, and all of this just to have one good defensive lineman and one good safety, right? It doesn't work. Doesn't work. Got to have a good defense. Those are the teams that are in the playoffs. Scoots Hater texted in and said, holy crap, that was the ball movement text. We're glad to have the ball movement back, right, Matt?
100%. I mean,
Louisville basketball just is much better when the ball is being shared. What was the assist number we reached? I believe it was 24 assists in this game, the fifth time we've reached this mark this season. But it's a season high. We haven't reached over 24 yet.
That's a crazy thing to think about, that we've hit 24 5 times but haven't broken it.
That is kind of weird.
Like, that's almost more rare than if we got the 25 or 26.
5 cards in double figures in this game. Huge. You need that. And that all comes from sharing the basketball and keeping it movement. When you have a team that shoots a lot of threes and is trying to have more possessions than the other team, one of the keys to that is sharing the basketball, right? Getting up and down the floor, getting multiple good shots up, and making those shots so you can get back on defense. A lot of the issues Louisville has encountered is just throwing up bad threes that lead to long rebounds, and you're gifting the other team transitions when you're shooting bad shots. Texter says here, go ahead, Matt.
I would say I just saw something come on my phone, a statistic for a little Josh Allen haters out there.
Go ahead.
There's a comparison I'm seeing from FanDuel themselves, said in their first 8 seasons of their career, Josh Allen has more total yards, total touchdowns, less interceptions, and a higher passer rating than Peyton Manning. They each had, in their first 8 seasons, 0 championships. Is Josh Allen the next Peyton Manning?
He Could be. There is still time to allow that to be the case.
He's not. It's not happening.
It's not.
He's not winning a championship. Josh Allen will never make the Super Bowl. It's not happening.
Oh, you calling your shot?
Calling my shot. Bills haven't done it yet. It's not happening anytime soon.
Not happening with Josh, huh?
They won't build around him. They refuse.
You're right. You got to go get you got to have something be the best out there when you have a quarterback like that.
You got a dude who's the size of a linebacker who is the running talent of a running back who can also sling it like he has a cannon on his shoulder, and they can't get to the AFC Championship game.
It's terrible. Dave, the Teacherville from Jeff, texted in and says, football strong monologue here. When the Rams ran the ball at 2:07 instead of a pass to try to get the first down, ice the game, I was fuming. Do teams not realize you can pass it at 2:07, take 7 seconds, and it still go to a 2-minute warning? I didn't understand that. It was 3rd and 10, I think. 2:07, and they ran it.
Did the Bears have any timeouts left?
Oh, I think they had one, maybe.
Because maybe you're thinking as a coach, maybe you can put that situation where you maybe force them to use that timeout, and then they get the second as the 2-minute warning. You know what kind of situation I'm talking
and
about?
then you're okay with punting it away with no timeouts?
Yeah, because then you get an extra one after the punt anyway.
But why are you
But then it
playing
stops
for
the clock
punt?
anyway.
Exactly.
So I don't know. That is a weird
You're
situation.
playing for the punt in that situation. I don't like that in playoff football. But
I'm also on the fence that no matter what the down is, if you're in a situation where the next play is probably a stoppage of time, whether that be the 2-minute warning or the end of a quarter, go for it. Like send it downfield, take a shot. You know, you're not losing any time, you're not losing any advantage. The other team is going to more, especially if it's the end of a quarter, they're going to expect you to either just run the clock out and move on, or run the ball or something, keep the clock moving. I feel like we don't see teams really take any chances like that. I know it's the playoffs, so it's a lot more structure. It's a lot more laid out. But I feel like what we used to see before, I feel like you would see the second down and 10, you'd see dudes go downfield a lot more. I don't know. The NFL is kind of – I feel like analytics has really changed sports in a lot of ways.
I think so, too. It has. It's weird. One more text coming in here. Another Stallworth text, Matt. We like those. Says Nebraska. Well, we like all texters, but Stallworth always providing some interesting stat or statistic or point he's making here.
Can you, before you read it, can you give me the backstory on Stallworth?
I can't.
You can't?
I follow him on X. He doesn't follow me back. He holds me accountable for takes that I have about college basketball if they're bad. He's down in Alabama. He's a big Louisville fan, a big Card Chronicle. I think he writes on the Card Chronicle or used to or does some Card Chronicle-esque stuff. He's just big involved with U of L.
Okay, that makes sense.
Things and kind of like a Kelly Dickey in a way, but not necessarily having the stat book. He just knows things that have happened throughout college basketball and likes to relate those to where Louisville is within their seasons and find correlating factors.
I was just always curious because, you know, there's texters like Dave, teacher from Jeff. There's the Scoots hater. There's Donut Guy. You know, there's Boxcar. Like, all these, like, are obvious ones. And I was like, I don't get where Stallworth comes from.
Yep, Stallworth is,
Is that just his name?
Old school music lover, researcher, Louisville Cardinal Benz basketball fan, and college basketball overall. Analytic mindset.
Okay. I like it. I was just curious.
Just a fan with an analytic mindset and a large knowledge of college basketball. He says, Nebraska, I think, will pick up their first loss in Michigan. Style-wise, I think the Cornhuskers are a team we match up best against. I kind of agree. As for Virginia Tech on Saturday, they're sort of like Purdue.
Oh, Roman.
Which should be good for us.
What do you have to say on that?
He's not wrong. They kind of have a similar setup, right? They're going to try to get up and down the floor. They're going to let the Abdallah's kid create off the dribble and look to get open threes for their perimeter players if they can. I don't really love the interior defense all that much for Virginia Tech, but they do have some size. They have a couple guys that are big.
You know what they don't have?
Braden Smith.
The best player in college basketball.
I like Abdallah more than I like Braden Smith. How about that?
That's a hot take.
Is it? I'm not saying he's better. I'm just saying I like him more.
Abdallah versus one of the greatest passers college basketball has ever seen.
Yeah. Purdue, we're on their back heels this weekend, too. To USC, it was. I think they were down at halftime in that game. And for a large portion of that second half, it was back and forth. A lot of lead changes in that one, I believe. But they ultimately do get the win. That has kind of been an interesting factor. In the games that Purdue has played close or even had moments where they weren't leading in, they've won those games, too. But I think they're beatable. Texas says, stay glazed, go ACC. He has a wager he placed here. 3-leg same-game parlay. Miami plus 7.5 points. Malachi Tony to score a touchdown at any time. And Carson Beck, 200 passing yards. That parlay is a plus 490 here from Donut Factory Guy. Staying glazed on Bet365. I like this. I'm taking the plus 8.5. Even though I'm going to go ahead and say it. I'm picking Miami to win. I think Miami wins this one tonight, Matt. I've said it.
Okay.
I like Miami to win the national championship tonight. With that being said, all I hear and read is how Indiana plays perfect football. They don't lose. They don't do this. They don't do that. And if you do this, they take advantage of it, and they're the best at getting takeaways as well against high-caliber opponents.
They're cheating, Roman.
They are. They're cheating. I don't know what this first half is going to look like. I think as long as Miami is able to settle into this game and not let any outrageous plays happen quickly and get off to an early deficit, that defense is going to continue to roll. I think that defensive line is going to prevent any crazy running numbers for IU. And I think on the offensive end for Miami, Mark Fletcher and this offensive line is going to continue to run up and down the field. This offensive line gets an insane push, Matt. And the way that Mark Fletcher is able to find those lanes and creases and turn 4-yard runs into 8-yard runs is outrageous. It's hard to stop. When they do that, the passing game can stay short and quick for Carson Beck. He doesn't have to take chances down the field. When Carson Beck is able to be a field general that's staying in the short passing game, that's when he's really, really dangerous. And he's getting those 10 and 15-yard throws or turning 5-yard throws into 20-yard completions because of the skill he has with his playmakers. That's what Indiana needs. It's going to start from having the football with their run game, and I don't think this Indiana defensive line is going to be able to stop it. With that being said, Matt, Indiana plays clean football. They're not going to have dumb penalties tonight. Mendoza's probably not going to have at least any crazy dumb interception from a bad throw. They don't fumble the ball. They're like one of the best at stripping the football as well. There's a lot of factors in this game that do lean Indiana's way, but Indiana hasn't seen a lot of talent like this Miami side in so many levels of the field that they're going to see. Now that they will have the corner out. Miami will. He's starting DB. He's had a bunch of pass deflections this season. I'm blanking on his name. I didn't write it down. But how do you think this game's going to look tonight? What do you think each team needs to do well to have the advantage, Matt?
One, I think Miami needs to get Mark Fletcher going.
Yeah,
this is what they've done throughout this season, the session of the playoffs. In terms of that's where they found their success, that's where they found their dominance, is taking the pressure off of Carson Beck. That's why, like, the only thing on this parlay it kind of scares me is the Carson Beck 200+ passing yards. I think he can easily get that. Malachi Tony, I think, is going to get at least 5 or 6 touches in this game easily. The thing is, the tape on Carson Beck is out. If you can put serious pressure on this guy, he throws them things. He goes. He's not
an NFL offensive line.
Exactly. He's not a dude who, when the pressure comes, he tries to get the ball out of his hand quickly. He looks for his dump offs. He looks for those screens. He looks for his tight end. He goes downfield. He looks for Malachi Tony. He looks for the deep ball, which I get that you have some of the most talented receivers in the country. I understand. I'd go for it too. But he makes bad decisions when he's under pressure. He makes a lot of mistakes. And this Indiana team, like you said, their biggest thing, they punish you on your mistakes. If you make a mistake, they step on your throat.
They do.
So it's going to be on getting Mark Fletcher going early. And he doesn't have to have 160 yards in this game to win. I think he needs to be around that 80-something mark for them to be successful. He needs to be averaging about 4.5 yards a carry. 4.5 yards a carry. Something that every time Mark Fletcher touches the ball, you're getting a positive boost of momentum. And if they can do that, Miami has a great chance to win this game.
If they can stay in those 2nd and 6, 2nd and 5, 3rd and 5, 3rd and 4 situations, that's when the Miami offense is at its best and it's scary. When they're in that 3rd and 8, 2nd and 8 situations and they're only running for 1 yard, that's when you're forcing Carson Beck to have to go out there and make plays. When you do that, you get a hand in his face. We have seen what that can do and what that can mean for him. He will make bad throws downfield. He'll loft the ball too high. Also have seen this Miami side go out there and have 10-minute-long possessions where he never has to throw it more than 5 or 10 yards down the field. And the blocking out on the edges is good for the receivers, and everyone's doing everything for him. That's what I think Miami is going to need tonight. They want this to be a low-scoring game, right? They want to win this one 17-10 or 17-13 if they can. I mean, they'd love to blow them out, but they know that their best chance of success is going to be a game that looks like that. A lot of punts for Indiana. If you can force Indiana into a turnover situation, then you're going to give yourself the advantage because of what they believe they can do running the ball. If they don't run the ball, though, I'm going to go ahead and say it. They're cooked. Carson Beck can't win the game for you by himself, even with Malachi Tony out there.
I'm going to make a prediction right now. Whoever has the lead at halftime wins this football game. I think it's going to come down to, can Miami put enough pressure on Fernando Mendoza and force him to make a few mistakes? Because like you said, this team doesn't make a lot of mistakes. They play really clean football. And can Carson Beck can take care of the ball, and can they get Mark Fletcher the ball enough and get his momentum going early? I think it's going to be a game where Miami's going to have to sit a lot of drop back zone, and it's going to be a lot of pin your ears back, rushing the quarterback.
Yep.
So if you get to a point where in that first half you're not getting to Fernando Mendoza fast enough, and he's just picking you apart 10 to 15 yards down the field, Miami's not going to have a good chance in this game. So I think it's going to be whoever takes the lead before the half is going to win this football game.
I'd like that. I can see that happening. I have a weird one, which, it's probably like a 70% win percentage in college football playoff games. But whoever gets to a 10-point lead, I think sets themselves up for success.
Yeah, I like that.
If you can get up to a 10-point lead, you change how you get to defend a little bit, and you can change how the other team's going to have to change how they go about offensively attacking. So, especially if it's like late in the game, late third quarter, 10-point lead, Indiana has that lead, say. Miami tries to send too many and get to the quarterback every time. Now Mendoza's going up the middle for those 10-yard, 15-yard pops like clockwork. If Indiana gets off to that lead and Mark Fletcher continue to just run the ball, Miami gets off that lead, Indiana may not have enough time to score that many points to win. So it's going to be a great football game nonetheless. I think that ultimately the turnover battle is going to play a key role in this game. If neither team turns the ball over once, Matt, who do you see winning this?
Indiana.
Really?
I think if you're not, Miami's going to have to force Fernando Mendoza to make mistakes to win this football game.
You don't see that happening?
I don't see it happening in this situation.
Yeah.
I think
definitely
that
not like large scale.
If we get it early on and Fernando Mendoza it doesn't have to be an interception, maybe an early fumble, maybe like a lucky pass breakup or something like that goes their way, Miami can run that momentum, maybe get under their skin a little bit. I mean, Miami, how they play. But if it's a straight dogfight, both teams are playing really well, I think it can still be close, but I think that Indiana just plays too clean of a game of football to lose a game they're winning the turnover battle in.
Yeah, I can see that. I can understand why you feel that way. I think that if Indiana doesn't turn the ball over and if Miami doesn't turn the ball over, it should be a close game, and the close game should go to the team that has the bigger bodies because you should be able to run the ball. I think Miami should have the advantage in that situation. Just some interesting percentages coming in now, Matt. At least on the DraftKings side of things, 62% of the money line bets coming in on Indiana. Not too much of a surprise there. This one was a little bit more surprising. 66% of the bets on DraftKings are coming in on Indiana spread at -7.5.
So we're that confident?
They're that confident. I don't think Vegas is going to lose that. I don't think, that red phone's ringing tonight, Matt. That red phone is ringing tonight.
Yeah, that makes me...
I don't even know what that kind of looks like in a hypothetical situation, but
you're just looking at a really that's a 2-score spread in a college football playoff championship game. You know what I'm saying? That's like going into last year's a Super Bowl. Like obviously it was a blowout, but thinking the Chiefs were going to be down by 10. Like I would never take a 10-point spread in a regular NFL game, let alone a playoff game.
Putting the better defense on their home field as the underdog. By 2 scores.
And like we said earlier, Indiana's deserved it. Like they completely deserve that spread, but taking it is scary.
It is. I'm on the Mark Fletcher anytime touchdown for tonight. We're not going to have a ticket puncher show. Obviously, we'll have Mondays with Dalton Pence coming up. We'll end early today. We won't go 5:30 to 7 on the Mondays with Dalton Pence show because we will have the Indiana pregame starting up at 6:30 right here on the Big X. But, yeah, those are some interesting numbers coming in on the betting sides of things. I think Mark Fletcher on the touchdown tonight, I think that's great odds at -110. Probably wouldn't take anybody else specifically on the touchdown. I do think that ultimately Elijah Surratt should see the end zone for Indiana with the way that offense has looked lately. But we're going with the Mark Fletcher anytime touchdown in this one. We're going to take the +8.5 as well on a straight bet. Probably maybe even combine the two on a little bit of a small parlay just to get some better odds. A little bit of fun there for tonight. That's kind of how I'm feeling, though, about this matchup tonight, Matt. I don't think that the DB being out in the first half for Miami is going to play that big of a factor in this one. I think those two teams are going to be feeling each other out there in that first quarter as well. It should be interesting. It should be a good one. I'm going to go with the Canes ultimately, though, in this one. We want to see what you guys have to say. Send your picks in here on the Game Day Men's Health text line for this college football national championship tonight. We'll have Justin Kalen, a.k.a. Scoots, a.k.a. the host of Sunrise with Scoots right here on the Big X from 7 to 8 every day, joining us here in the next segment. Stay tuned. We'll be right back right after this. It's been the Mike Rutherford Show. Matt Childress, Roman Kelly here on the Big X. Here to the Mike Rutherford Show. Roman Kelly, Matt Childress taking you down till 5:30, covering for Mike Rutherford. He is down in Disney World Universal Studios with the family. We miss him, but he is having a good time. He needed the time off, and we're glad to be covering for him in here right now. It's the Mike Rutherford Show, presented by United Mechanical. United Mechanical is Louisville's MVP for commercial and industrial HVAC, electrical, plumbing, and refrigeration. Call United Mechanical at 502-339-1133. Go Cards. We've got a special guest joining us right now on the Call Your Law Firm hotline, Mr. Justin Kalen, a.k.a. Scoots, the Sunrise with Scoots host right here on the Big X from 7 to 8 a.m. every day. Justin, thank you so much for joining the show today, sir. How are you?
I am great, Roman. I don't know about a special guest, but I'm feeling pretty special today because my Hoosiers will fight it out for a national championship. I know you all have already discussed that. I've enjoyed the conversation so far. But, yeah, I'm jacked up. Happy to be here. Thanks for having me on.
Indiana hasn't been in this situation in your lifetime, Justin. I'm excited to have you on, and I'm excited to have you chatting about it. Just overall, how excited are you right now? I mean, this is not really something you've ever experienced. You've probably got to be just like looking at the clock, trying to find ways to kill time, trying to find ways to ease the nerves, I'd imagine.
Well, let me just say this has been the longest day of my lifetime. Not only has Indiana never been in this position before, but I never thought Indiana would be in this position. So I jacked up for this game tonight. The fact that the Hoosiers are an 8.5-point favorite, at least the last I looked they were, but the fact that they are a big favorite like that in a national championship for one of the worst college football programs of all time, I just can't believe it. I mean, I gave out the stats early last week what Indiana has to do. So if Indiana wins this game tonight, Roman, they are 16-0. If they do that for the next 11 seasons, and on the 12th season they start 6-0, they will be back to 500 all time. So that shows you right there how bad this Indiana football team has been historically. But here they are, number 1 seed in the playoffs, heavy favorite going into the national championship tonight. You can't make this stuff up if you're a movie director, right? So I'm excited to see the movie version of this one day, but I'm really, really excited about the game tonight.
Got Matt Chodis on with us, chatting with Justin Kayla right now. Matt, I think you had something you wanted to ask Justin, right?
Yeah, Justin, I wanted to ask you this. So you and I have talked back and forth the entire process of Indiana going through the college football playoff and even during the season, and you and I have both agreed that we're both two extremely, extremely superstitious people. We have our routines. So I want to know, and I think a lot of listeners want to know, what has been Justin Kaylin's Sunrise with Scoots game day routine for today to really keep the vibes going and make sure that Indiana gets the win tonight?
So my main thing is definitely I want to be in my recliner watching this game because that's where I have watched the majority of the games this season. I feel like that's kind of been my good luck spot. So that's where I'm going to be tonight. But it wasn't until about probably the Ohio State game in the Big Ten Championship where I started focusing on what I was wearing. So I have worn the exact same outfit every game day since the Ohio State game because I just feel like that's another superstition. And I don't know if I've said this on Big X or not, but I actually got a wood plaque as a gift for Christmas. It's got IU on it. It's football. It's in the shape of a football. It's a really good-looking plaque that I'm going to hang up on my wall. But to this point, I have not hung it up because I don't want to mess with the juju. So I'm trying to do everything the exact same way that I've done all season long. Some things have been a little bit different, but all in all, I think we're doing a good job of trucking along the same way we have all year. So I'm not worried, at least on my end, that I did everything correctly. So
we like that. You got to keep the vibes right. You've got to make sure the juju's in the right place. But it's interesting for you, Justin, because you're kind of establishing all of those different little juju-esque things to keep the vibes right because you haven't been in this spot before. So it's kind of fun to know what works and what doesn't. You got to make sure you get it right because, you may not – I mean, Indiana got one of the best recruiting classes, one of the best transfer portal classes. They should be competing for years to come with Signetti if he's there. But with that being said, I mean, championship game, you never know when you're going to be back there. And it feels probably amazing to know that your team's got there and they're headed for a path for success regardless of how this game actually ends tonight. Justin, I want to ask you, though. Go ahead, Justin.
Let me touch on that. Yeah, because you said fun to establish these new things. It has been fun, but a small part of me does worry that maybe I'm starting a precedent here that I'm going to have to try to adhere to for seasons in the future, and I don't know that I'm willing to put that much into it, but...
No, don't say that. You're a diehard Hoosier fan. You've been a diehard Hoosier football fan your whole life. It has now come around full circle. You get to talk about them, and they're successful now. It's a win-win situation. Hang that plaque up after this game tonight, regardless of what happens. Make sure you're in that recliner going forward for every, at least home game or something. And you got to wear the right gear as well. These are all necessities on game day. Scoot, you're new to your team being in this kind of successful position maybe, but we're going to be here and make sure that you do the right things. Justin, another thing you just said there, you kind of mentioned you're maybe like scared this is going to lead to you having to do these things going forward. Another thing you're probably scared about is just how this game is going to look. Even for a fan like you who's confident in Indiana's ability, you've been confident all season long. Every time they played a big opponent, I chatted with you about it. Look, I think they're going to do this. I know that. And you were right. They went out there and did it. Penn State, Oregon, every single time. You felt good about them, and they got the job done. You have felt good about them in this one. But with that being said, it's the championship game, right? You have probably played 1,000 scenarios in your head about how this game can go, both with Indiana winning it and maybe Miami pulling away and finding a way to win it. Ultimately, what keeps being the reoccurring thought in your head about something that worries you about this game, whether that's something Indiana does that you think Miami could stop, or you think something that maybe Miami does well that Indiana hasn't had to stop yet? Is there something that every time you think about this scenario of how this game's going to play out that keeps popping up in your head?
That is a great question, Roman, and I'll be the first to tell you, out of all the scenarios I have played in my head, and this isn't me being cocky or not wanting to come off cocky, but I have yet to get to a point where I see Miami winning this game. All those scenarios, I see this game playing out a number of different ways. Maybe even Miami keeps it close. I do not see a world where Miami wins. That's a dangerous thing going into this game. I understand that. I'm trying to avoid that mindset for the next one. 3 hours and some change. Not that I'm counting down, which I am. But the one thing that I keep coming back to for this Miami team that I really think could get Indiana fits is the same thing that everybody else has been talking about for a couple of weeks now. It is very obviously the size of that offensive line, the size of the defensive line. I mean, look, Miami's got some huge dudes, and Miami should have some huge dudes. They're Miami. Yeah. You kidding me? I'd want to go play down in Miami. Like, that's an easy decision. But they just got big guys. But ultimately, for me, I think Indiana has the speed, the agility, the quickness along their lines to get past that Miami front, whether it's offensively, defensively. I expect Indiana to have a lot of success this season. Look, tonight, because there has been times this season where I've doubted this Indiana team. I don't know if they go in and get the job done. I'm not doing that anymore. I'm a fan. Team's 15-0. No team's ever gone 16-0. So I'm not going to sit here and act like that's not a possibility. I think that is a possibility. I think that's what happens tonight. I'm pumped up. So while there are some trouble areas for Miami, whether it be Malachi Toney or Mark Fletcher, their running back, both of those guys are really, really good. Carson Beck, though, that's what this game hinges on, in my opinion. We can make all the talk about the line play all we want, but Carson Beck is the make-or-break guy for this Miami team. If he plays well, Miami's got a real shot tonight. If he comes out, he's loosey-goosey with the football, turns it over 3-4 different times, then Indiana's going to win this game comfortably, maybe even more comfortably than they did against Oregon. So I'm jacked up. I really, at the end of the day, though, guys, I don't think Miami has anything for this Indiana team. And maybe you all see it differently, but your Cardinals beat Miami, right? Yeah. So should I be worried?
Well, our Cardinals did it in an interesting way. It's weird because I had to put myself in a place with Louisville season where I can't let that game mean more for Louisville season than it should. I can for Jeff Brown, but not for Louisville season. And then on the flip side, Miami looked weird in a couple of games at the beginning of the season. That was one of them, and that one happened to be a loss for them. They changed a lot from there. Carson Beck got a little bit better with his decision-making against teams that are trying to throw hands from their defensive line up in his path of vision. He finally started throwing over the defensive line a little bit more after a couple of games after that because we kind of gave the scouting report on him even more so. Get in his face, and if you can't get in his face, get in his line of vision. And he will eventually throw something that you could take away. If he does that again tonight, if Indiana can put him in those positions, I'm right there with you, Justin. They're not going to have enough on the offensive end giving it away to a team that doesn't that takes advantage of turnovers, right? Every time you mess up against Indiana, they punish you for it. Whether that's as small as a 10 or 15-yard penalty or as big as a pick six, it will come, and they will put it to their advantage. Carson Beck, I think, go ahead, Matt. Go ahead, Justin.
That's the thing with this Miami or with this Indiana team is the fact that they take opponent turnovers and they make them deadly. Whereas when you see Indiana turn the ball over this season, they are very good about minimalizing that, whether it be holding the team to a field goal, whether it be the defense going out there and getting the football right back. So their resiliency is really one of the things about this Indiana football team that I don't think it's talked about enough. I mean, just the way that they bounce back after something bad happens and they turn it into a positive, it feels like each and every time. So I don't want to be all mushy-gushy about this Indiana team and what they've done this season, but the reality is, guys, if Indiana goes out and they win this game somewhat comfortably tonight, they have to be in the discussion for one of the greatest college football teams of all time. They just do.
They've kind of already entered themselves into that category with some of their statistical numbers at 15-0. So I think they definitely solidify themselves as one of those teams. People are obviously always going to put the asterisks on it with the new college football playoff format. I don't care about that. They had to play more teams to get here. They had to play tougher opponents for more games to get here than how it used to be in the old format. So ultimately, I think it's a tougher task what they've done this season than some of the teams in the past getting to this point. Scoots, I've got to ask you here about this matchup in terms of how this game looks. I kind of said if it's a low-scoring game, that means it's probably in Indiana or in Miami's favor. They probably are winning the time of possession. If it's a low-scoring game, I think Indiana's looking to keep both teams under 20 points in this matchup, trying to go out there and win a low-scoring game that ideally has a lot of field goals in their eyes. I think if it's the other way around, if you're looking at not necessarily even a shootout, but just a game that has scores where the drives are long drives that are going from one end of the field to the other and leading into points for both sides, it's a matter of the team that's able to go out there and not mess up and lose points or give points away. If it's a higher scoring game where both teams are over that 20 to 23 point mark, I do personally think that favors Indiana. Where are you with that, just overall with how the game looks in terms of the scoring? What favors Indiana? What favors Miami?
Well, that's the beautiful thing about this Indiana football team is the fact that all season long they have shown the ability to win pretty well every way possible. They've obviously won in blowouts. We've all heard the stats about how many blowouts they've had, but you go up to Iowa, you win that game 20-15. You go up to Penn State, you win that game 27-24. Oregon, that game ends up 30-20, but it felt like a lot closer throughout the entirety of that game. So I'm not really worried about score-wise, whether it's close, whether it's low-scoring, whether it's high-scoring. I think Indiana wins this game. I mean, they can play any play style Miami wants, whatever type of game that Miami wants it to be. I'm not saying that you want to let Miami choose the pace of this game, but if Miami is able to establish their pace early in this game, I think Indiana has a high enough football IQ and smart enough guys on this team, and definitely an advantage with coaching, that they can adjust to that. And if you want to play a low-scoring, smash-mouth football game, hey, we'll meet you at the line. Let's go. Let's ride. I mean, we'll win this game 20-17. No problem with us. The main thing is you win the game. So that's really the good thing about Indiana, the fact that they've found different ways to win throughout the entirety of this season. I mean, they have been a very well-rounded unit, whether it be close games or blowouts, high-scoring, low-scoring. It doesn't matter. This is an Indiana team that's ready for anything, mostly because of the guy that they have up top. And I'm not trying to mush and gush all over Indiana, but in my opinion, Kurt Cignetti's the best coach at any level in any sport right now in the country. So that if you can lean on that guy, I know he's going to have them well prepared. I know Fernando Mendoza is going to be well prepared. I just think this team's going to be – they're going to be good to go tonight.
I think you're right. That's maybe a hot take there about Cignetti, but he's definitely in that category. He would definitely be one of the
I'm on fire.
One of the few picks for, what would you call it, best coach at any level in America right now. That's a shout. But when you look at some of the other coaches, and there's not a lot of coaches doing what he's done at the program at a program like that, right? So
we'll see if he can do it when he goes to the Steelers.
No shot, Matthew. No shot.
Chatting here with Justin Kalen, Roman Kelly here, and Matt Childress here in the studio. Justin Kalen joining us right now on the Collier Law Firm hotline. Matt, I think we got a text in for Justin. You want to read it?
Yeah, we do. So I know you guys have been, getting the heated Indiana-Miami talk, but Dave, teacher from Jeff, actually has a question for you, Justin. He says, yes, Scoots on the show. Let's derail this with Survivor talk. Who is your pick for season 50, and what's your excitement level?
Well, Dave, I mean, I've had a lot of favorite Survivor players over the year, but D is going to be my pick. Matt, Roman, you all look up D from Survivor while you got a free moment. You'll understand why that is my pick. She is absolutely gorgeous. I love D. Big fan of her. She was able to win the game last time. So, Dave, I'm rolling with D. Give me her all day.
I did actually look up the cast because, like, I hadn't watched Survivor in a long time. I do see what you mean with D, but
Yeah.
if I'm looking at the cast right now, I think I'm actually going to go with my person is Savannah Louie. Okay, she won 149. Yeah. It says that she only had a 2-week break to prepare for this season, so she's jumping right back in. I mean, the tape might be out on her, but she's got a hot streak going.
So Savannah's good, and she was a former journalist, so she was able to pick and prod people that maybe other people haven't been able to do in the past. But Savannah's awesome. I expect her to do really well just because everybody playing Season 50 didn't see Season 49. So they have no idea Savannah won. She's going to come in very sneaky. That's a good choice, Matt.
I don't have a choice here in this one. I'm going to rock with Matt, though. She's coming in with an advantage. She's already in form right now, it sounds like, so she should be able to go get right into a groove knowing exactly what she needs to do.
Roman, take Jonathan. He's an absolute monster, the biggest human being to ever play Survivor. He'll win every physical challenge. That'd be a good pick for you.
Jonathan? Okay. I'll rock with Jonathan. I'll be rooting for Jonathan then.
I think it's funny because in this cast, there's all these, like, you know, people who've played in different seasons and this and that and have won different seasons. And then there's Mike White. Why is Mike White in this season?
Mike White has played on Survivor before, and he actually did really well. I don't think he ended up winning. I'd have to go back and look. But, yeah, he was a good little Survivor player. I'm glad to see they're bringing him back.
He was runner-up on season 37, so he got second place.
Okay.
Roman, do you know who Mike White is?
I don't think so.
So I've seen him in movies and TV shows before, but he is the creator of The White Lotus.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
Okay, I've seen pictures of this guy before. I didn't realize that's who that was. Wow. Good. A lot of Survivor talk here on the Mike Rutherford Show. Shout out to Dave, the teacher from Jeffersonville, sending in his thoughts on Survivor. He also sent in, or no, this is from Scootator. We got a Scootator text in, Justin. He sent in a parlay. I think he wants to know your thoughts on it tonight. He's got a 3-leg parlay. He did put a bonus bet on it, but it's a $20 bonus bet. So Scootator feeling pretty confident here. Mark Fletcher anytime touchdown. Malachi Tony 6+ receptions, and Carson Beck 200+ yards. We've seen a couple of parlays like this now on the show. People sending in their bets for tonight. You think? I mean,
this is the second one just with Carson Beck 200+ yards. That scares me.
We think Carson Beck's gonna have 200+ yards tonight, Justin?
Oh, my God. That's not even the funniest one. First of all, suck and Scootator. I think this is a terrible parlay. I'm not a big fan of it. Let me tell you why. Mark Fletcher may very well get a touchdown if Miami finds their way down towards the end zone. I can see that one happening.
Yeah.
Malachi Tony is going to be guarded by D'Angelo Pons. In no world does D'Angelo Pons let Malachi Tony get 6 catches. Miami is going to use Malachi Tony, but they're going to have to get ridiculously creative with him, getting him the ball in the backfield and with wide receiver sweeps and you name it. That's how they're going to have to use Tony tonight, because if they want to put him out there in that wide receiver position and try to throw to him, that's not happening, because D'Angelo Pons, who is an NFL-level cornerback, is not going to let that happen. D'Angelo Pons is one of the best in the country. So that, for sure, not happening. I don't see a world where Malachi Tony gets 6 catches. Carson Beck, I can see him coming in over 200 just because the way that I think the game's going to play out, he's going to get plenty of garbage time and plenty of garbage stats. That's where I think his 200 will come from. I like 2 of the 3. Let me rephrase that. I like 1 of the 3. I'm okay with one of the others. One I just think is a horrible bet, and that's Malachi Tony.
When looking at this game tonight, Justin, I want your opinion. So, I mean, I know you're really confident on Indiana and, you know, basically the mountain to climb that Miami has to climb to beat Indiana National Championship. Looking at you as an Indiana fan, and we know who you're rooting for, what do you think personally Miami has to do to cause the upset tonight?
You know, that's a great question. and it's something I've thought a lot about today. If they're able to establish the run and run the football well, which nobody has really been able to do that on Indiana all season, I think that bodes well for them. That could take them a long way. Because the one thing, in my opinion, if you're Miami and you want to avoid, it would be a heavy pass game. I don't need Carson Beck getting heavily involved in this game. I need Carson Beck to be a game manager. I need Carson Beck to take care of the football, which that's another thing Miami needs to do a good job of tonight. But just keep Carson Beck at bay. Just let him do bare minimum what he needs to do tonight. If that running game and Mark Fletcher are able to do some good things, that would take a ton of pressure off him. And then obviously, like I mentioned, the turnover situation. I mean, if Miami takes care of the ball, then I think they'll be in a really good spot. The problem has been, though, Indiana turns a lot of teams over, and they have all season long, whether it's 2, 3, 4 times a night. And like I mentioned earlier, when they get in those situations and they're taking the ball away, they convert on those. They're turning that into points nearly every time. So if you're Miami, you got to avoid what Oregon did. Don't give Indiana free attempts at points. Don't give them a pick six on the first play of the game. Don't fumble in your red zone. Heck, don't get your punt blocked. Just take care of the football, play a clean game. And I really, for as confident as I am and as much as I think Indiana wins this game big, if Miami does those two things, I don't see a world where this game isn't close. So that would probably be the best recipe for them here in this game tonight.
Justin Kalen, give us a score prediction and a player of the game for tonight.
Score prediction, I'm going to roll with what I have for the entirety of this week. I'm taking the Hoosiers, 52-13. I think they're going to do to Miami what they've done to pretty well every team so far this season. They keep getting doubted. You all talked about the money coming in on Miami prior to bringing me on. It seems like everybody's doubting Indiana yet again. Now, that 8.5-point spread says otherwise, but I think Indiana wins this game comfortably. I just don't see a world where they don't. So 52-13, your player of the game. I don't want to go Fernando here. Fernando's the obvious choice, being the quarterback of this team, but I'm gonna throw one out there that a texter on the text line was giving me early this morning on Sunrise with Scoots. He was big on Charlie Becker. Charlie Becker, the last 5 or 6 games for Indiana, has been absolutely incredible. So I'm going to roll with Charlie Becker. I think he has a big night from that wide receiver position. He's not our main guy. Obviously, Elijah Surratt, Omar Cooper, those are the 2 main wide receivers. But Charlie Becker's been huge in big moments for Indiana this season. So if this game, by some chance, is close coming down the stretch, look for Charlie Becker to make a play, get Indiana in good field position, and potentially take advantage and walk away with a win.
Yeah, might have a backup on him tonight for some moments, too. So good shout there. That's been Justin Kalen, host of the Wake Sunrise with Scoot show right here every morning on the Big X, 7 to 8 a.m. Justin, thank you so much for joining the show today and chatting Hoosiers with us.
Guys, I appreciate you having me on. Thank you for helping me pass some time. Now, I'm going to go dig in my freezer. I've got some crab legs that I'm going to cook up tonight. I'm going to eat well for this national championship.
Man,
so
crab legs is in the freezer ready to go.
He's got the crab legs
ready
on
to
deck.
go, baby.
Mr. Scoots, Justin Kalen, ready to enjoy his Hoosier in action tonight for the national championship. That does call for crab legs. I'm glad you're eating good tonight, Scoots. I wish you the best with your watching as a fan tonight.
All right, I'll be in the recliner if y'all need me, and don't call me Jameis Winston just because I'm eating crab legs.
Hopefully you can put that plaque up after the game and not have to wait a couple of days. We'll chat with you here later on in the week, Justin, see how you're feeling regardless of what this outcome was tonight.
Sounds good. See you, boss.
See ya. That's Justin Kalen, like we mentioned. Scoots, Sunrise with Scoots, the host right here on the Big X every morning from 7 to 8 a.m. Matt, he's confident in those Hoosiers.
I mean, he deserves to be.
He does.
They've earned the right. They're in this situation. I mean, they're the most dominant team in college football this season. He's right. If they win this game, I don't even think it needs to be a blowout to go out there and say that this team is up there with one of the most dominant in college football history. It's because they're cheating, Roman. I'm calling it. They got to be cheating out there.
They got somebody under the bench with the binoculars at all their opposition practices. And, kudos to them.
They got the mustache on and everything. It's ridiculous.
Got the mustache on. But we'll see what it looks like tonight. I do think ultimately Indiana should play a good game. We haven't seen them play a bad game yet. I just think that Miami can win it. I do. I think that they can keep it close. If Carson Beck doesn't kill them, Miami should keep it close. And I think if it's close at the very end of the game, Mark Fletcher and his ability to run should allow them to get the yards that they need and get the points that they need in this one. Go ahead,
Quick
Matt.
question before we go to break. What's more probable? A Georgia versus TCU outcome where they just get blown out, like Miami gets blown out, or Miami upset? Like horrendous Miami upset.
Oh, wow, what's more probable? I'm going to go with the upset.
Okay.
The NFL talent out there, you know?
I like it.
This is going to wrap us up here. One more segment to go on the Mike Rutherford Show right here on the Big X, presented by United Mechanical and Nexus Plus. Stay tuned. We'll be right back after this. It's the Mike Rutherford Show presented by United Mechanical and Nexus Plus. We've got another special guest, this time in studio with us here right now. We've got Troy Miles, head honcho over here at the Big X and Word Media. Troy, glad to have you joining the show today. I'm glad to be here. Smack that. I don't know if we got the right mic on. Microphone. Yeah, try that one there. One of them's a bit.
One of them.
There we go. There we go. Got them all now.
It's a little sensitive over here, man.
It is. Troy?
I was not prepared for genuine pony before I came in here, man.
Yeah, we get to rocking in the afternoon on the Big X.
I mean, about 10 people are probably going to get pregnant tonight after hearing that song.
You listen to the way we talk on
It
here.
was the clean version. It was the clean version.
We get down. We get groovy.
You are motivating generation.
Freaks come out at night, they say, or whatever.
Millennials are getting motivated. Gen X is getting motivated when you start jamming a little bit of Genuine.
Yeah. Start feeling good. Start feeling excited.
It's like, hey, girl, let me holler at you. It's cold outside. We ain't got nowhere else to go.
We're here with
This is sports talk radio we're listening to.
Yeah, come listen to these cards. We're here with Troy Biles, head honcho over here at the Big X and Word Media. Like we mentioned, Troy, it's good to have you on. We haven't had you on the radio very, very often. First time in 2026, I believe.
It is my first time in 2026 on the Big X.
You do a lot of JIE radio talk here at the studio we're at.
But a lot of people don't realize that with Word Media, we have 7 radio stations.
Yeah, a lot under the umbrella.
Yeah, a lot of them are under our umbrella.
Sports, multiple sports that you can get to. You can get your political talk either direction you want. You can get Christian radio talk. You can get music. You can get it all at Word Media.
We don't play around over here.
We don't. You can get a little bit of everything for a little bit of everybody. And that's why we're the best. Troy, though, I want to ask, we've got a national championship football game tonight.
That's what I heard.
ACC team in action, Miami, who we beat.
Mm-hmm.
And then an Indiana team in action who ducked the smoke over here with our Cards twice. So, interestingly enough, Cards fans are in a win-win spot in a way tonight.
With
either Miami wins and we beat the national championship this season, or Indiana wins, and that's a team that was too scared to play us. They probably wouldn't be there if they had played us, which probably isn't true, but we get to make that statement. Kind of crazy, two teams that we, at a certain point in the season, no one would have really, really guessed that they would be here at this point. But they are. They've done so. Indiana doing so, playing the most complimentary, clean form of football we've seen out of any football team this season.
They're good.
Miami doing so, basically having NFL players out there, which is that's the recipe for success. Either culture or the biggest dudes, right? And this is kind of the battle of the biggest dudes going up against the best culture. It's in Miami, which I think is interesting. Basically a home game for the Hurricanes. How are you feeling about this one tonight?
You know, I happened to be in Florida when Louisville played against Miami, and I was at this hotel and happened to run into a Miami fan like the day before.
Ooh.
So it was like the day before the game. He's talking. He's like, oh, you're from Louisville. I was like, oh, yeah, there's a big game. And he was like, oh, yeah, it's going to be, a good game, but we got a great team this year. I was like, man, our defense is pretty good. You just kind of have a conversation like that. Well, then a couple days later, I saw him at breakfast.
Complimentary breakfast.
At the complimentary
a few complimentary comments about the game.
They were playing pony over the PA. You were feeling yourself?
I was like, how's it going, my man?
How's that defense?
How about them pancakes?
How about the defense right there?
I like that.
I really like to think about the way Louisville beat Miami. Not only did we went into their stadium and we busted those jokers.
Yep.
Like we put it on Miami and our defense showed up.
Stop the run, took the ball.
Here's what you have going on. You have the team with some of the highest expectations when the year started with Miami. Mm-hmm. And they fell short of those expectations, but now they've met them and they're there.
Yep. Started to fall short and then got it back on roll. Yep.
They do have the home crowd that's going to be there and going to be behind them, but we have seen that didn't work out for them when they played against Louisville. Mm-hmm. And then you have Indiana, who there were pretty high expectations, but not like this.
Yeah.
Coming into the year. And they have beat the tar out of everybody.
Mm-hmm.
They literally have smacked great teams right in the nose. The only team that they just didn't beat the heck out of was Ohio State, which is another great team.
Yep.
So I almost have to look at it and say, is Miami better than Ohio State, whether if Miami is better than IU? Because IU has proven to be the best team in the entire nation. If you're asking me for my pick, I think I've got to go with IU. They've not shown.
They've proved it.
They have proved it. The only time that they were really tested this whole year, of course, with Ohio State, and they almost lost to Penn State at Penn State.
Came back and won.
Which was a bananas game, and they came back and won. I mean, they showed grit and guts in order to be able to come in. And that was really the only time they were tested. So when they were tested, they still won.
Yep. Regular season Oregon game was close in the first half for a bit, and then they still win by 10 A team that they were losing to in that game, they win by 10. Even good teams like that.
Our old scooch, Justin Caleb, actually texted Roman, and I said, Troy, what if I told you Miami was 100 to 1 to win the chip this season? Indiana was 200 to 1.
Oh, well, look at there.
That's crazy. 200 to 1 to win the championship this season.
And they're there.
And they're the favorite by 9 points, 8.5.
I would ask Scooch, did you put anything on that?
Yeah, I don't know if any Indiana fan, even with the way that they looked last year, thought it would be this dominant this season, right? I mean, we thought they would be good. We knew that their schedule kind of aligned for it because you ducked them cards again.
Yeah.
So you got a favorable non-con matchup, and then you handle business in a Big Ten that's just, top-heavy at the moment. And they're there now. They're a powerhouse. They've got the best coach in college football in terms of building culture and getting all of his guys to play his brand of football right now, as we've seen, and they're making the most of it.
There's an interesting question with this because we saw it when Miami played Louisville this year. We've seen it in past times when Miami's played Louisville at home. Their fans refuse to turn out for some of these games, and a lot of that comes down to it's a massive NFL stadium. We all understand that, and it's way off their campus, and I get this stuff like that too. But you're playing the national championship in your home venue. But Indiana has traveled to every one of these college football playoff games, and it's been like 70-30 IU fans. Do we think it's just going to be full red out there in IU, or do you think Miami's going to show up for this game?
Surely they get a good crowd in there. Surely it's a 50-50 crowd, right? It should be 60-40 on your home field. I think the crowd got better later in the season. They finally realized this was a serious Miami side. Them getting into the playoff should have helped a lot of the people wanting to get tickets to this kind of a game.
If it's not 60-40 in Miami, they just need to go ahead and give up.
Just give the trophy to Indiana.
If they're not going to be 60-40 in their own stadium, come on. You might
just play your games on a practice field.
Just give the trophy up. But I would assume IU fans are spending some cheddar to get inside that
None
game.
of them have seen this.
It's once in a lifetime.
None of them have seen this. So
no one has ever seen this.
No one has seen this. No one has ever seen this, ever. It's never happened. And there's a chance it could happen tonight. So it fully makes sense why the fan base would go out there and
As
and
a
travel
Cards
to it.
fan, the best thing that we could root for is that IU wins and they barely win. And then we can say, you were ducking that smoke. If they beat Miami down, then we've got nothing to say.
No, we don't.
And if Miami beats them, we still have something to say.
Yeah.
But if you're in this community, if they barely beat Miami, like, yeah, we busted them.
Ideally by like less than 8.5 points for me. That would be cool. That'd be nice.
I think it'll be IU.
A lot of people do.
I do think it's going to be a close game.
I do too. I'm not betting Miami to win. I picked Miami to win. My gut tells me Miami. My logic across the board tells me IU has no reason to lose. Something about the way that I watched Mark Fletcher run that football in that last game, I don't think Indiana has the dudes to stop that specifically. If everything else can fall in line for Miami in a favorable way, on top of Mark Fletcher running the ball like the way he did last week, if that does happen again hypothetically tonight, surely it's a close game. Now, if Carson Beck's, if they're out there third and long every time they get the ball, Carson Beck's the one you're relying on to get you down the field every single time.
Interception.
The short pass game to Malachi Tony's not working for you. Indiana's pouncing on those screen passes like they've done this season. I don't even know. I don't know if they can even keep it inside that 8.5 points. But I think it definitely could be close and should be close. Just a matter of Cristobal getting them guys to play clean football and Carson Beck not letting that cloud above him with the lightning striking and the rain coming down affect him tonight at least. Because there is a dark cloud above him. I've said it all season long. I said it. That's why we beat him. He has a dark cloud of him. You can't maneuver in life like him and have this kind of success. I'm a believer of that.
Are we talking about Beck?
Yes. You can't move. The way he is off the field is going to have an impact on him in his career. We'll see if that happens tonight. I'm really just joking for the most part, just as a Carson Beck hater.
Know. The way that the quarterback after IU, the way he acts, if we're going about how the quarterbacks act,
he's a bit wild too. He'll say whatever when you put that mic in front of him.
I like that dude.
You do. I like him too. You got to be careful with what you ask him and how quickly you let him say whatever on the mic. But we've got some interesting quarterback matchups here tonight. Troy, you've picked IU. I can understand it. I can understand it fully. They've shown that they've proved to be the one that you picked tonight. I appreciate you coming on and chatting with us about this national championship.
Sure, man.
Before we get you off of here, quick comment. How about them Cards on Saturday? 100-59 over Pitt on the road. What'd you think of that performance?
They did what they were supposed to do.
That's how we felt. That's kind of what me and Matt reiterated today. Not going to let us get too hyped up over a game against an opponent that you should be beating.
Yeah.
Granted, with the way we've looked in the last handful of games leading into that Pitt performance, seeing us get to that 100-point mark and win by that kind of deficit felt really, really good without Kanai Roos and without Michael Brown Jr., obviously. But they handled business.
I'm thankful that they did what they were supposed to do.
It felt good to see them do what they're supposed to do.
Yeah.
Because they haven't done that recently. Before we get you out of here, Troy, any quick program notes, Word Media or Big X related you want to throw out there to the listeners?
I would say we've got something that's really cool that's happening with one of our sister stations. They're doing it's called the WJIE Sweethearts Dinner.
Yes.
The Word Media Sweethearts Dinner. It is actually on Valentine's Day this year.
Okay.
So
that's a Saturday because it's a Saturday this year.
it is a Saturday. It's February the 14th. It'll be at the Crown Plaza. You got to go to WJIE's website, or you can go to our JIE Media website, either one of those, to get your tickets. And there's a promo code that's available there. You put in the promo code STORY, you'll get a discount that'll go along with it. It's an awesome night. So, like, if you haven't made any plans for Valentine's, it's dinner, it's entertainment. You're going to have a guy.
Music, dancing.
All of it. And then you're going to have a pastor that's going to be there who's actually going to do a vow renewal. So, like, if you've been married for a while and you really want to make the missus look good or make yourself look good in front of the missus, there's going to be a vow renewal for everybody at that particular event.
That's
So,
awesome.
oh,
All
it's
part of
really
the one package deal. So
Yep.
JIE.com or JIEmedia.org, whichever one you want to.
It's JIE.org, so it's .org.
Okay, JIE.org or JIE Media as well, the two websites. You can visit to go get your tickets for that. Troy, thank you so much for coming in here during the Mike Rutherford Show, the Roman Kelly edition, and chatting with us.
Thanks for having me on.
Of course, of course. Matt, we're going to get into a few more things today. I believe we have Abelson Barthélemy, my best friend, longtime best friend since 5th grade, kind of the co-creator of the Real Spiel podcast with me, joining up right now on the Call Your Law Firm hotline, or maybe in just a minute from right now we'll get, confirmation. Thank you,
Yep,
Troy.
he's on waiting for you.
Abelson, CFBA, we've started to call him here as of late, our college football expert on the Real Spiel podcast, and like I just mentioned, best friend of mine, longtime best friend. We've kind of started the whole personal content creation thing on the side within the sports realm together. Abelson, you've been covering college football for about 2 years now nonstop, but really ramped it up this last year. 2 weekly videos, highlight videos. You also create short-form content, and then, of course, you do your weekly ranking breakdown where you go over what the AP poll said, and then you give your own ranking out all season long. We loved the consistency on the Real Spiel. It gained us a lot of notoriety, and it feels good to finally have you joining us right now on the radio side of things. Abelson, how are you today, sir?
What is going on, brother? How are you?
I'm doing great. Everyone knows why we're getting you on, obviously. We just chatted about it with Troy. We've chatted about it really for the last hour now. We've got a college football national championship matchup tonight. You will be covering this. You will be watching this. You'll probably watch this game a couple of times, I will assume, and then you'll do your own breakdown on this game. Signetti going up against Cristobal tonight, Abelson. I want to just ask you, what are you most excited? What surprised you most about these two teams being in the college football playoff national championship, if there was anything that surprised you?
Honestly, going into the beginning of the season, if you would have told me these two teams would have been in the finals, I would have probably said no. More so Indiana. Miami, they had the roster, they had the talent to get to the point, but if it was just a question on if Miami put it all together. And obviously, 7 weeks into the year, they did, and they were number 2 in the country, and they stumbled a little bit. But I thought it's been impressive how Mario Cristobal has rallied that team, has gotten everybody back together. Because that's usually a position where Miami just derails and they go down the wrong track, but they won. They finished the season on a 4-game winning streak and continue things. The really only surprising part about this is it's not surprising. It's more so funny. When you think about a team who can get to the national championship game, you think about, like, the line of scrimmage, the offensive line, the defensive line. And these are two teams that are, I think, by far the best on both lines of scrimmage in the country. More so Miami, I think they have the best combined offensive and defensive line. Indiana, their offensive line is up there with Miami's. Defensive line lacks a little bit, but they are both stellar on both lines of scrimmage. But I think that's where the game's going to come to a head point today.
Yeah, with what Indiana lacks in size or maybe a little bit of athleticism on their lines, they make up for it with clean football. They don't get a lot of penalties called on them. They don't make a lot of mistakes on their line of scrimmage. That has been something that has been an advantage for them this season, even going up against some defensive lines that do have bigger talent, right? You looked at how that Ohio State game looked. Ohio State had the bigger dudes. Indiana had less penalties. They played cleaner football. They played more complimentary football. They also kind of ran the ball better than expected. But this Indiana side, they don't make mistakes. They play. The one thing I've noticed about Indiana, Abelson, I wanted to kind of get your opinion on this before we get into more breakdowns of just how this game may look tonight. The play calling for Indiana is perfect no matter what the scenario is. That is kind of the main factor in the coaching advantage that they have in so many of these games against good teams, is that they look like they know exactly what the play needs to be, and then when they call those plays, everybody goes out there, they know their position, they know what they're supposed to do, and they execute really, really well. A lot of teams have moments where there's confusion on both offensive and defensive end, and that kind of leads to mistakes. Indiana was a lot more mistake prone, I believe, in the beginning of the season due to that lack of communication. They kind of ramped things up a little bit, and it's kind of cool to see them get to that elite level where you knew the roster was capable of. You weren't sure if Carson Beck and Cristobal and all of the different vibes kind of centered around Miami football were going to allow for it to kind of happen. And fortunately for the ACC, it did. Abelson, 8.5-point favorites Indiana is tonight. We talked about this over the weekend when we were watching some NFL. We both think that Miami should be able to cover this matchup tonight. I want to ask you, just in a kind of a basic gist, what does Miami have to do well tonight to win this game? And on the flip side, what does Indiana have to do well tonight to win this game?
Yeah, that number, 8.5, I think just off the bat, this is going to be the best defensive line, I should say, that Indiana's going to play all year. You can make a case that Ohio State had a better overall defense than Miami. But I think from the defensive line and putting pressure on the quarterback standpoint, I think this is the best that Indiana's had to see. And that's kind of where it starts for Miami. I think if they want to have success in this game, they're going to have to get pressure on Mendoza. That's been something that teams have not been able to do all year, especially in the playoffs. He has just been sitting there as a statue, just picking teams apart with no pressure. Alabama got a couple sacks on him early in the game, but once that game got going, he was just sitting back there having his pick of the litter, and that's turned into how efficient he's been. I think hasn't thrown more than 23 times all playoffs, and he's completed over like 80% of his passes. So first and foremost, Miami's going to have to get pressure on him. Ruben Bain, Akeem Mesidor, they're going to have to get him out of the pocket, make him use his legs, speed him up. And that typically can be where, Mendoza could – I'm not saying it's going to happen, but that's what you have to do to make him speed up and not see the field clearly. They're going to have to run the ball. They are going to have to run the ball.
That was my key point.
I mean, they've been one of the best running teams all year, and especially in the playoffs. I mean, they've ran for over 150 yards in all the playoff games. The line has just been absolutely moving people. And so they're going to have to run the ball. And I think the most important thing is Carson Beck. The defense can play as good as they possibly can. The defense can limit Indiana as much as they want. But if Carson Beck has one of those Louisville-type games, one of those SMU-type games, I think it doesn't matter what the defense does. But he has shown in the playoffs he has the ability to manage the game, make the passes he needs to make when he needs to make them. If he plays like he played, against Ole Miss and against Ohio State, I think Miami has a real chance.
It's interesting, Carson, that point you just made about Carson Beck. He's really he elevates his game in the postseason, and he elevates his play across the board. When you take that back to Georgia even. But there's always that one game in that one moment where it's looking like it's good, it's looking like it's good, it's looking like it's good, and then boom, you get the drastic Carson Beck decision or the drastic Carson Beck turnover. More times than not, typically has led to the team situation, right? It's 3rd and long on their side of the field, and they've got to score, so he's throwing it long. But still, he's had these moments where it's like, okay, he's elevated his game. He's done everything he's needed to do for his team, and then you get to that evenly based opponent, that evenly matched opponent. They get some couple of sacks. They get some pressure. His team is at a deficit, and now the crazy decisions and crazy throws start coming. You can't have that happen with Carson Beck. But continue on, Abelson.
I think he understands that. I think he's been playing efficient and in the Ole Miss game, for example, there were people saw a bunch of overthrows, but I thought more of his overthrows were more so I'm going to throw this ball out, and if I can't get it into my receiver's hands, I'm going to put it in a position where nobody else can get it. So I think that's where a couple of his overthrows from Ole Miss came, was that he's not trying to put the ball in harm's way.
Yeah.
I think he understands the moment that he has. For example, like in the NFL. CJ Stroud is playing badly right now. He has an elite defense. He should be playing more like a game manager and not more of a game riser, whatever you want to say.
Game breaker, yeah.
I think game breaker, yeah. I think Carson Beck understands that he does not need to do too much. He has a great offensive line. He has a great defense. He has a great running back duo. He just needs to go out there and play clean. And when you're playing Indiana, you have to play clean. If you turn the ball over, if you give them short field position, if you make mistakes, they will capitalize on them and they will crush you.
Abelson, I appreciate you coming on and breaking that down a little bit for us. We, of course, are going to try to have you on as much as we can going forward. We will have the new Louisville Kings show here on the Big X called The Front Three with Matt Childress and I, and, of course, Grant. We're probably going to try to see if we can get Abelson to join up on that show going forward as well, chat a little bit of Louisville Kings talk with us, and, of course, the other football talk we'll be getting to on that show. Abelson, as we kind of round out here towards the end of the show and we get you off of here, I have to ask you, what's your score prediction for tonight, and who is the player of the game in your eyes? I know that's a tough one. You probably haven't decided.
It's tough.
I know you were leaning Miami on the spread. You probably felt like Indiana should win this game. I know we were talking about it Saturday. You said Indiana has all the tools, or Miami has all the tools to win this game. It just comes down to Carson Beck and the playmaking. 8.5 points, that's a lot. Are you taking Indiana? Are you taking Miami? And then how does the game turn out? What's your final score prediction and player of the game?
I'm gonna take Miami. I like Miami in this spot. I think the 8.5 points is a lot. I think Miami runs the ball. I think their defense plays well enough. I think Indiana they've deserved every good thing that's been said about them. But I don't know. I just think it's a perfect storm for the way Miami's playing. I think they get home to Mendoza. I can even see a Mendoza pick. Not two. I'm not going to say two. I can see one Mendoza pick. But
it was he's envisioning a Mendoza thing, being thrown. I can see that.
I think they control the line of scrimmage like they did against Ole Miss. I think they make it a slow, game where they control the time of possession. I'm going Miami 24. I'm going Miami 27. Indiana 20. 27-20.
Wow, 27-20. Miami winning by the 7-point margin. Abelson Bartholomew, a.k.a. CFB Abe, chatting with us here on the Mike Rutherford Show. Roman Kelly, Matt Childress chatting with Abelson here as he is now giving out his prediction. He says Miami 27, Indiana 20. Who's the player of the game in that outcome, Abelson?
Player of the game, they're going to ride with Mark Fletcher. I think Mark Fletcher is the reason they're in this position. They've been feeding him like a workhorse. I think they continue to ride him. The offensive line continues to eat. I say he goes for $130 and 2 touchdowns.
Wow, calling for the Mark Fletcher legacy game here in the national championship. $120 with 2 TDs. I see him more in that 90 to 95, maybe even 100 rushing yards and 1 TD spot, getting a whole bunch of those slow, pound them 5-yard runs kind of a game for them where they are having those 10 to 12 minute long drives if they can get so, even just those 8+ minute drives where he's just getting 4 yards every single time he touches the ball. I think that's kind of where I'm at with the Mark Fletcher statistical numbers, but I'm with you. I think Miami wins. I don't think they win by 7, but I also like Mark Fletcher in this one. Abelson, thank you so much for joining here on the Mike Rutherford Show. We're going to try to get you on as much as we can going forward here on the Big X, and we're excited to watch this one tonight.
Absolutely, bud. I appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. Like we mentioned, that's Abelson Bartholomew, the college football expert and the host of the Under Center show on the Real Spiel podcast, where he talks about all things college football twice a week. He does, and of course on the TikTok page as well. Shout out to Abelson joining us here on the radio for the first time. Matt, we've got about a minute before we get out of here. We already gave our run-in with Roman Big X Big Bets of the day out, but we now have to pick this game. You just heard me pick it. I've already picked Miami. Who's your pick in this one? What's your score prediction? Who's your player of the game?
I think Indiana wins this game. I hate to go against Abelson and you guys, but the thing is, I have bet logically with this Indiana team all of the college football playoffs saying this is the team they're going to run into, they're going to struggle. This is the team they're going to run into, they're going to struggle. This Miami defense, I agree with Abelson 100%. They haven't faced a front like this all season so far, especially in this playoffs. I think that Miami's defense is going to, in my head, going to get to Fernando Mendoza and make him uncomfortable. But I've been wrong every time I bet on him, so I'm going the opposite. I think it's going to be a high-scoring outing. I think At the end of the day, I think it's going to be a Fernando Mendoza masterclass. I mean, I know it's a basic pick. I'm taking him as MVP of this game. I think it's going to be. I think Indiana wins 35-28.
35-28. You're wow. That's a shootout for sure. There a little bit on that one. I'm going to say Miami gets the job done, 17-13. Think it's a low scoring, kind of an ugly game. Both teams trying to run the ball as much as they possibly can in that first half and establish that run. I think it stays close, but I do think Miami wins. I do think Mark Fletcher ultimately is the player of the game in this one. This is going to wrap us up, though, on the Mike Rutherford Show. On the Mike Rutherford Show, Roman Kelly, Matt Childress here, taking you up till 5:30. Stay tuned. We've got Dalton Pence right after this, 5:30 to about 6:30. Leaving out a little bit early, but thank you all so much for tuning in. Thank you all so much for listening. Shout out to our podcast listeners.
The Mike Rutherford
listening
Show
as well. And there we are.
United Mechanical. John Burke's United Mechanical is your trusted partner for commercial